Hello, people of Defend the House, and welcome back to another one of mine and Jamison's top 10 discussions for a gaming year. It's a bit of a special one. It's a bit of a special one because this is our 10th time doing this. We have been doing these chats every year for 10 years straight. 2013 to 2022.
It's slightly weird because, like, 2013 to 2022 is not 10 years, you know? Like,
yes, it is.
Well, yeah, anyways. Yeah, it's we've posted 10 this will be the 10th one of these we've done, which is a lot. Yeah.
It is a lot. Yeah, I mean, we weren't even like really making videos for the channel in 2013.
No. The first video we recorded looks like around January 22nd. 2014.
Right. Oh, yeah.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. That's what I was looking at. I was looking at the 2014. I'm like, 2014 to 2023. That's not 10 years, but
right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot of these videos, and they've just gotten weirdly. They've gotten longer every year.
Yeah, we need to shut the fuck up, dude. Wait, am I allowed to say that in the beginning of a video anymore? I'm not sure.
Oh shit, demonetized. Can you say demonetized now as well? I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not. Censor all of that.
But yeah, what we usually do in these chats, because, you know, there's always new people coming to the channel, so some people probably have never listened to these or seen these before, even though we've been doing it for 10 years straight. Gonna say 10 years, even if it's like 9.1 years. We have a list each. The possibility of 20 games in total. We do not know each other's lists. We obviously have inklings and suspicions. We do talk about the big releases across the year, so we kind of know what we liked. We also do a podcast with our friend Ben, so, you know, we always talk about games along the year. But, you know, there's always some surprises, and the ordering is also important when it comes down to really realizing how much someone liked a game, because, you know, you can do a podcast saying, I liked this game, and until they're organized, you don't really know how a game sat with someone overall. So that part is always the most interesting. We go backwards and forwards, 10, like my 10, Jamison's 10, your 9, my 9, until we get to number 1. I think that's it. And we also like to kind of reflect and be retrospective on the year as a whole before we dive into our list as well and talk about what we thought of 2022 as a gaming year. Huh. Pretty stinky, man. Pretty stinky, I would say.
I will preface this whole conversation by saying I did not enjoy 2022 in most any way, basically.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's not true. Second half of the year was better, but I was ready to move on from 2022 by about, let's say, March.
Fair.
And that was reflected also in the way I felt about the games. Maybe they're related. I hope not. Like how I feel you know, anyways. But yeah, the games. I keep a list of every game I play, new release, you know, and this year had the most number of games I've played since we started doing this, since 2014. I had 53 games played. Normally it's about 40.
Is that in total or for the new year? Like new games from 2022?
There's like a couple, there's like 5 or 6, you know, 2021 games on that list, but
it's pretty good going, yeah.
Yeah, it's still the most. Even without those, it's still like 45. And this was the hardest I've struggled to make a list, as in to come up with just 10 games.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the problem was the pace was weird.
The pace was weird, and for me, for my taste,
a
lot of things. I would say I enjoyed the year in gaming, and there's a lot of games which I had fun with. But you know, you're always looking for a game which really, really, really clicks with you, is your type of game, is like a euphoric moment, and those were very, very few and far between. A lot of just like, yeah, that was alright, or that was a fun game. But you know, as gaming fans, we're all kind of addicts chasing that high, that game that really clicks with you. An Outer Wilds, a Red Dead Redemption 2, and yeah, this year It's all personal taste. Maybe some of you guys had a moment like that. I know Elden Ring was a big thing for some people.
Yeah.
A lot of people went crazy for Ragnarok. But overall, not to spoil too much, not a huge amount of, like, Joe games, I would say.
Yeah, and I feel like there were even less Jamison games.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly really enjoy the big AAA games a lot, of course, and those were a little... I mean, there were like 3 this entire year, which is weird. And they were all solid, don't get me wrong. But the like importance of the balance from AAA to medium to indie is something that sort of keeps the pace up nicely, you know. And when there are like no small games that did much for me,
that's definitely a problem when there's not much AAA stuff.
Yeah, and it's sort of like you can't just eat little morsel games all year round without the big meals, you know, and not having the big meals makes it sort of harder for me to keep going with the small stuff, and I eventually just like got burnt out on the small games. There are a few fairly substantial, like small to medium tier games that I just didn't play yet that won't be on my list because I just wasn't in the mood, which is unfortunate. I sort of, you know, I'm annoyed at that, but also I'm not going to force myself to play something if I'm not enjoying it, because especially when it seems like something I would probably like. I also think 2022 is like the year that we like, even though I think we've said this for like, I've said this at least for the last 2 best of lists. This really felt like we are feeling the post-COVID effects a lot, because like almost everything that came out,
relevant.
Everything that came out this year was like the majority of its development time would have been, you know, peak COVID era, like 2020, 2021. And I think that is, you know, I keep that in my mind and being like, yeah, okay, I sympathize. We're still in the cross-gen period. Games are still shipping probably earlier than they should have because they've been in development for so long, and it's like, we need to put this out the door, otherwise we're gonna like run out of money and things like that.
Yeah, there were a few games which felt like they fell apart a little bit near the end.
Yeah.
Like you could almost see the pandemic happening live throughout the course of the development.
Exactly, yeah. So I hope that this 2023 we just sort of start to like shake that off a little bit, you know?
I hope so too.
And also throw the PlayStation 4 in the garbage. Like, I'm done. I don't want to see any more cross-gen games, even though we've got like another 6 or 8 months of those. But so be it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that about covers it, right?
Pretty much every single game on my list, I have major caveats with for. Like I
would say the same for 9 of them.
I would say it for literally every single game on my list. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is a first, which is interesting.
My number 1 is a perfect game, but
a perfect video game. That's good. I'm glad someone got a perfect game this year. So.
Okay.
But yeah.
Who's starting, by the way, this year?
I get to... wait. It looks like I start. You did your number 10 first last year, so...
All right.
I start with my number 10.
All right.
Yeah, so, like, 9 and 10? Oh, boy.
Yes, I know.
I
think I switched my 10, like, 6 times.
I had 9 games. The 10th slot was really just like, man, I don't know. So and in past I like to use my number 10 slot for some oddities. We both have our own rule sets for our lists. Mine is I don't care, I'll put any game on my list that I played in 2022. Yours is very strict. In keeping with that, I wanted to shout out a highly memorable non-2022 release that we all spent some time with, and that was Neptune's Pride.
Oh, damn, okay.
Because we spent 2 weeks of our lives suffering with that hell game. And
good luck explaining that to people who don't know what that is.
Oh, I'm not. It's an, what's it, a triple X, a 4X game? Expand, exterminate, whatever. It's sort of like one of those. It's like a sort of civilization game, a lightweight civ strategy-ish thing.
Yeah.
That you play in a browser, and each turn only happens once every hour, and it's in space, and you have to conquer planets, and most of it is you sending messages to the other people in the game lobby to like get to work with them, to get help from them, to build your stuff in exchange for you help them. Yeah. The gameplay won't look very interesting either.
Yeah, it looks just like data to begin.
Yeah. It is... I don't know, I was gonna say it is like a light... sort of, it's not like the most video gamey game, but it is. Like, there is a fair amount of, strategy and all these things.
It's more board gamey, really.
It is more of a board game, you're right. It is more of a board game played through a browser. The main highlight was the delightful diplomacy side of it. Like, the gameplay, the strategy, good. It's fine, it's solid. There's a lot of depth to it. It's complicated to learn at first, especially when other people in the lobby know what they're doing, or, at least know what to click on, whereas starting from scratch is like, oh, so the first, 5 days were a complete nightmare. I guess did I say one turn an hour, and we played for 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks straight.
And, when you're in bed, you could be getting attacked by people because we were playing with our friend group that spanned the world across 8 different time zones.
I set my alarm for 4 a.m. multiple times during that game.
Yeah, by about day 10, I was just waking up at 3 in the morning and checking things and then going back to bed.
Yeah.
And, it's basically those are the reasons why it's on the list, because it was disruptive and unpleasant in a way that a game hasn't been ever before, in a cool way. And the diplomacy side of things, where you can just send messages to other players, but you're encouraged to sort of do it in a way that maintains some anonymity and some character.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, it's up to you how you want to play it, but that's how we did it.
Exactly.
More fun that way, I think.
Yeah. And so everyone in our group was very committed to the role-playing, and it was just a very fun 2-week diplomacy, just nightmare fest. I very much enjoyed tricking people into helping me help you, who you had very much become the villain within about an hour of the game starting.
Everyone hated me. Yeah.
And it was very fun to just be like, I was in the worst position on the board. I spawned right in the middle and was basically fucked from the get-go, and so I basically just decided to sow chaos as much as possible, and it was very fun doing that. It was very fun earning people's trust, only to be aiding their enemies without their knowledge. And it's hard to talk about because
it's like it takes elements of Mafia, Werewolf, Among Us, and expands it into 2 weeks, which heightens and increases the level of emotional commitment you have towards the game and the stakes.
Yeah.
That's the shorthand way of putting it. Because you play a game of Among Us, you get killed, you're like, oh, lol. But if someone does that to you after 10 days of work, then it's much more emotionally distraughting.
Yeah. So it was, of the games of this that I played this year, this came out in 2013. It's one guy, and it's, it's just in a web browser, basically. I think it is all just in a web browser. Yeah. Even on mobile. And, it was definitely one of the most memorable game experiences of the year. So I figured, what the hell? Put it on the list. A game from 2013, from the first year we did a best of, can appear 10 years later. Mm-hmm. See, it was all calculated, so there you go.
Fair enough. Yeah, that was a good game. I look forward to our 2023 game.
I
at
don't.
Some point. Yeah, you do.
No, I'm dreading it.
It's gonna be great.
I'm gonna fly to the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, so I'm in the ideal split time zone. So I don't have to be up at 4 in the morning.
Or just seppuku yourself and just send all your ships to someone just to sow chaos. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Play it how you want.
It was a good time. It was fun. It was fun doing a bunch of nonsense in the Discord as well. I enjoyed that.
Neptune's Pride is a good game. If people like board games and portraying their friends, they should look into it. It's good stuff.
Definitely. And if you like ruining friendships, if you have someone that you just really don't know how to break it to them, that you don't like them anymore, just do it in Neptune's Pride, and then that friendship should probably end, pretty disastrously.
You'll probably lose at least 1 or 2 friends during that game.
Yeah, I'm sort of disappointed that didn't happen for us. We were all very civilized in our ferocity.
Yeah. A little bit awkward when I went to Glastonbury and I had to bump into Ed, who I betrayed the whole game. Hey, man.
It does help that I have an air gap of about 5,000 kilometers from the other players, so that's always good.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah, there were good spirits in that group.
Yes, yeah. So there you go.
All right. My number 10. I think this is a game which might have a chance of going up the list or maybe off the list because I have not beaten this game.
Okay.
Actually, I should say we have not beaten this game because my number 10 is Grounded.
Ah, okay. Speaking of
Snuck onto my
hellish
number
nightmares.
10. Yeah, Grounded is a little bit of a bully at times.
God.
But I am really enjoying our time in it. For any of you Grounded fans out there, I think me and Jamison are like 20 hours in. We're probably like 30 more to go. We are just encroaching on the black ant nest. And we haven't even done the pond yet. And there's a whole other half of the garden we haven't got to. But that game has like one of my favorite settings, maybe of the entire year. I really do love the gimmick of the Honey, I Shrunk the Kid and being a weedy little kid in this little insect world. And every time we log on, it just kind of works for me every single time, and I find it fun to just be back there. It has been very mean, but I am a little bit sadistic at times. I quite like when a game beats me to the ground, and the only way to break through is to be really stubborn and determined. I'm a bit of a sicko, and I kind of thrive off of that stuff. And Grounded might be one of the most punishing versions of whatever you want to call that kind of old Souls-like element that I played for a long time. The first 10 hours of that game are really, really cruel and difficult. But we have basically just gone over what I'll call the hill, where our power curve is just getting to the point where we're feeling a little bit more comfortable, and it's very, very satisfying to feel a little bit more adept and strong in that game. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. It seems crazy content rich. It's on Game Pass, and it seems like a 50-hour co-op survival game.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the survival genre, so a lot of it is working for me, and maybe some of the stuff which annoys other people, like food meters, water meters, and all that stuff, and crafting recipes, maybe not bothering me as much as it would other people. But yeah, I'm having a really good time with it. And also, I have to give it props because I played a lot of horror games this year, and none of them were as scary as Grounded. Yeah, I can't believe how horrifying this game is at times.
Yeah, nothing scared me more this year than your scream of terror at encountering the Black Widow or whatever it was, the wolf spider.
There is nothing more horrifying than turning around and a wolf spider is in your face.
Oh my god.
It is like an evolutionary terror that pierces into you as you become prey to one of those behemoths. And we have no idea what is waiting for us. I'm sure there's many more horrors to go and many more things to discover.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not. Praying Mantis is going to be interesting.
Oh,
but yeah, we are like probably not even halfway, so it's my number 10. It might increase up the list over time, or it might be really obnoxious and annoying and fall off the list. And there are many honorable mentions waiting to replace it, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see. We usually, before we even start these lists, we look at our last list from the previous year and see if we would like retcon any of the choices and change them. Has anything changed over time? And I think we skipped that this year because we felt that our list from 2021 were fine and steady and staying.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. In 2023, I might come and say that Grounded pissed me off and it fell down. Or maybe it will end on a high and trickle up the list a little bit. I also really like that Grounded is a handcrafted survival map. A lot of survival games, like Valheim and Raft, have very randomly generated, procedurally done maps. I understand why they do that. It gives like a fresh experience for replayability. But there's something nice about playing Grounded and really learning the ins and outs of different areas. Each area has like a little story for us about how we struggled and died. We have areas we like, areas we don't like, and areas we're too scared to go. There's been just a lot of good stories that have come out of that game, and over time, the user friendliness has got better and better with updates, so it's becoming less like obtuse and frustrating and clumsy to play. But yeah, Grounded. It's been a good time. Been scary, frustrating, and fun.
Yeah, I think we'll probably save like a full Grounded conversation maybe for when we podcast, do like a podcast next week or something, because we haven't actually talked about it properly.
No, we haven't.
And we can't get into it now because it'll go for like half an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, Grounded is a good time sometimes.
Yeah. It's getting consistently funner. More fun.
Yeah. I am liking Grounded quite a bit, and I'm glad it got mentioned, and I look forward to playing more.
Yeah.
And I look forward to looking back on the whole journey when it's completed and seeing where we feel, because those first 2 or 3 streams were a bad time.
Yeah, I'm proud of you for sticking it out. You're doing great.
Oh my god.
Because I know it's not your genre, and this is a survival game, and I wasn't really expecting it to be that survival-y.
It's mainly just the like rapidly draining hunger and food bars that drive me nuts, but you know, everything else is like you can manage it a bit better. So anyways,
it does have that like usual survival genre clunkiness.
Yeah.
It's not the worst offender of the genre, but they all kind of have that feel, like fighting in Raft and Valheim. It's just like a weird trait of the genre, I'd say.
Yeah, like you said, when there is a one day like a super AAA survival game where like the combat isn't trash, that'll be exciting. I mean, Grounded's combat isn't complete trash, but it's
not trash. It's just rough.
No, it's clunky,
heavy.
Yeah, it's clunky and heavy. Yeah, so, but it's a good time, and we're gonna be playing more in a couple hours, and I am looking forward to it.
I love that map. I love that setting, and I just like get kind of childish whenever we find a new area, because it's literally like, oh, what's gonna be here, but really big.
But it's
That's
big.
the whole gimmick.
It's a good gimmick. Yeah,
it is a good gimmick.
Yeah. Speaking of good gimmicks and games from 22 and games that I haven't finished but I like, Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope.
I don't think I've heard anyone talk about this.
I'm the only human on planet Earth that has actually played this game, it turns out.
It feels like it, yeah.
This is the first game, so one of the reasons it's on the list is because I wanted to give Mario and Rabbids some love, because I really liked the first game despite its issues, and over time, 5 years since the first game came out, it has climbed up more on in my standings, basically from 2017. The second game, I don't think any game came like a major. You know, this is Mario is the first word in the title. It's from Ubisoft and Nintendo. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a game vanish off the face of the earth faster than this. And that first game definitely made a splash when it came out because it was the gimmick is so bizarre. This is a great game. Just like the first game was a great game, I wanted to make sure it got some proper love. The main problem from the first game was the interstitial non-combat stuff. Like wandering the world was super basic and boring. And they've really fleshed that stuff out nicely here. It's still, the whole game is still like, it's still Mario is the first word in the title, so it's still pretty simple, you know, pretty easygoing, which is not a bad thing. But they've basically turned the non-combat stuff into like small open worlds that you wander around and do quests in and solve puzzles and explore. And that stuff has all been pretty solid. Like, it's a very good change from the first game's just very, very boring stuff. The combat is good. It's still fun. I still like a turn-based strategy game every couple of years. I wish it was harder. I'm playing on the hardest difficulty, and it's still just super easy, which is sort of too bad, because turn-based strategy is at its most fun when it's kicking your ass and you really have to like utilize everything and think about every move a lot and cross your fingers for good luck with the dice rolls. So there's not, sort of missing a little bit of that, but they've fleshed out the like versatility, the number of characters you can choose from, how to customize them all that stuff. Like, it's basically been improved in every single way from the first game, and that first game was already a very good starting point. Yeah, it's a fucking long video game.
Every video game's a long video game now.
Yeah, it's not bothering me, but like, I'm 15 hours in and I'm 46% of the way through.
Jeez, yeah, it's long.
Which is crazy. I thought it would be like 15 hours or so. So I thought I would be way further in by 15 hours, but I'm apparently not even at halfway point, so I can't reserve total judgment on the whole package, but it's just such a good, goofy gimmick, and it makes me chuckle very often. And there's just so many, like, the main person that's controlling my party when running around is Rabid Mario. And the Rabbids are just so stupid, and it's such a basic gimmick, but it just makes me laugh every time. Like, he does this terrible, terrible Italian accent voice.
Is it Chris Pratt?
No, it's, oh my god, if Mario Rabbid was the voice of Mario in the new one, there would be, like, riots because of how offensive it is. He's like, when he kills someone, he's like, thank you, mama, you know, like, when he opens a treasure chest, he's like, this is the best day of my life, and you're just like, can they say this? Like, can they be so crass with their bad Italian accents? And that's just sort of the spirit of the Rabbids. They're, like, horrible and obnoxious in a funny way. Rabbid Peach, every time she heals, she goes, #healing vibes. She says that out loud.
Oh yeah, she's the mobile phone. She's like the influencer.
And she's texting, and it's
yeah.
And then there's like the Mario characters, which are just so stoic and just like, what the fuck are these Rabbids? And it's funny every time they do that joke.
It is a very weird thing to exist.
It is so bizarre. A Mario Rabbid hybrid, that alone is weird. And then it's a turn-based strategy XCOM-like. Just
strange.
baffling. It's just so bizarre. But you can, just like the first game, you can tell they care about it a lot, and they're very passionate about it, and that's cool. It's the only good Ubisoft game in years.
Wow, shock.
I mean, shocker, yeah. I should, after this, dig through and see when the last time a Ubisoft game appeared on either of our lists. Because I bet it's been 6 years.
Like a spin-off, like a indie thing?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. They do publish, like, some weird stuff. Yeah, it's a good time. Good game. It's fun. It's a little basic, but I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It's a nice morning game, so.
You should pick up Kirby. I've only played it for like 3 hours, but it's pretty cool.
I did. Yeah, I played like 90 minutes of that game over the summer on my other Switch, and
it gets better by the second world. The first world, like the most Nintendo for babies type thing ever, and it gets a little bit more interesting the further in it goes.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think I got through that whole world and maybe started on the second one, and then it was very simple, but it was good. It was a good time. So
yeah,
that's sort of like this. You know, there's more depth to this, but it's that, you know, good old Nintendo. They have that certain, even though this isn't a Nintendo game, but you know what I mean. It has that certain chill, friendly, easygoing nature, which is nice to have every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of chilled gimmicks, my number 9 is PowerWashing Simulator.
Hell yeah.
I'm not joking. I loved this game.
Yeah. I was 100% expecting it on your list.
Yeah. So, like everyone, when this game came out, I think we all assumed it would be part of the simulator made for YouTuber and Twitch streamers gimmick.
Yeah.
They're shit games, but they're funny. Ha ha ha. Give me $10, make a YouTube video, and then move on forever. And I thought that was gonna be this game. And I know there's been other stuff that comes under the maintenance cleanup genre, visceral cleanup detail, house flipper, lawn mowing simulator. I tried Visceral Cleanup Detail. Again, I played it for 2 hours, I think, with Ben years ago.
I think you played that with, it was me. It was like a decade ago. Yeah.
Oh, maybe I think I played it with Ben as
well.
Maybe
you both, yeah. That was ages ago.
Yeah. I played House Flipper for like 3 hours as well, and, you know, they're gimmicky and kind of satisfying, but I don't know. It just, like, there's not much substance there. They just don't get it right. And PowerWashing Simulator was on Game Pass, and I installed it for the exact same reason. To play for 3 hours and then leave forever, because why would I play 35 hours of a power washing game? And I don't know if I can really explain why, but there's something just really, really weirdly perfect about this little package. You can't really experience the satisfaction of this game until you get your hands on it and give it a go. There's a lot of very small factors. that make this game something a little special. It's like small quality of life things, the gentle and satisfying little ding when you clean off a section of a map perfectly, the ability to see any dirt you've missed with a little almost infrared dirt vision, a little PDA which gives you hint towards any little things you've missed. It makes sure that you're always flowing nicely in your power washing journey. You're never like scouting around for one speck of mud. You're always making a nice little progression. But it's more than that. This game keeps going and going and going. And it has so much content and it goes in such a bizarre direction that I can't help but just respect how hard they went for this weird gimmick. I don't want to spoil too much. I don't know if you could spoil PowerWashing Simulator. But near the end of the game, you are basically moving towards ancient alien technology.
Hell yes.
And it goes in a very bizarre direction in a way which it feels like a parody, but at the same time, it's a really highly functioning, satisfying, therapeutic game. I played the whole thing on the Game Pass version, and it has drop in and drop out co-op. So I was playing it on my stream as a chilled thing, and people who are watching the stream would just pop in, do some cleaning, maybe hop out, let someone else in, and it was just so easygoing and wonderful. And when it ended and I finished every level, I was sad, because it was just always there for when I was tired, when I didn't have the brain function to play anything else. Power Washing Simulator was there. And I'm in the Discord group, watching them all brainstorm the next level. And whenever more content comes out to this game, I will enjoy putting on some Studio Ghibli music and playing 1.5 hours cleaning some random Power Washing Simulator level. If you think this is a joke, you should go play this on Game Pass, because it's kind of brilliant. And yeah, it doesn't matter like how much brain power you have. Preferably if you have none, pick up this game. E.g. a hangover or a hard day. This game is surprisingly really fun. And by the end of it, you kind of come to understand like peripherals and functionalities of an actual power washing device. Like I knew which nozzle to use when, I knew the different types of soaps. It's really kind of bizarre and great. And yeah, I love this game all the way through. Yeah, surprisingly.
I played a couple hours of it and also really enjoyed it. I don't like, I sort of have that like mindless chill game with Destiny. But those types of experiences are important to have. Yeah. And I know they're sort of hard to come by for someone like you at times. And,
true. Yeah, we talked about it on the podcast, I think.
Yeah, and so I didn't stick with it, but I agree, it was excellent. And it's the cool thing about it is that it is a joke game, but they execute it with a 100% commitment. Like they take it very seriously, and that's the best type of thing, because there are so many bad simulator joke games, but this is like very legit, and it's satisfying. Like power washing, everyone, like there are whole swaths of YouTube channels that are just like cleaning things, you know, and power washing them and scrubbing them, and it's an inherently satisfying thing to do, to clean shit.
It just feels like something that would have been made 3 years ago by one guy as a joke. And out of all the like satisfying genres, like in Visceral Cleanup and Lawnmower Simulator, it's kind of crazy that this idea didn't get found and ruined by someone else. It just sat there untouched until, like you said, a small group of people came along and took it way too seriously in a way which worked really well.
Yeah.
Oh, and also it has that little montage at the end of every level showing like the fast-forwarded cleanup operation you've done. It's like this little carrot on a stick reward that you're building towards, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to see what this little video is going to look like at the end. Oh.
Yeah.
It's a good
It's
game,
good stuff. It's good stuff, definitely.
It is good stuff.
I'm glad it's on here, because it honestly felt like a major release for the year as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the speed runs at AGDQ.
Oh man, there's wow, okay.
The speed runs of that game.
That'll be excellent. Also, Game Pass, like it'll come up a lot on this list. Like the 2022 was an incredible year for Game Pass. I think like half of the games I played this year were on Game Pass, which is crazy.
Yeah. That's my number 9.
Number 9, fantastic. Before I just do my number 8, I looked through all my lists. I have never once put a Ubisoft developed game on my list until Mario & Rabbids. The only other one is South Park: The Stick of Truth, which was Obsidian, but Ubisoft published it, so that's the closest they ever got. So there you go. Congratulations, Ubisoft, on your worst year, but you managed to get one good game out. good job, I guess. Also fun.
Nice. Well done, idiots.
My number 8 is Roller Drome.
Nice.
This is a game that I am not good at. I have not finished.
Oh.
But that's not because I don't want to finish it. It's more of like I said when we did a big chat about it on the podcast. I'm perfecting it and like taking my time with it, sort of savoring it, you know, because there's like 12 levels or so, and then it'll be over. With Sable last year and this game this year, I realize I'm a big fan of this style, this cel-shaded, whatever you want to call it, aesthetic. Is very good. Like, it's a great art style, and they nail it here. I really like just the overall presentation of the whole thing. Outside of the visuals, they do great stuff with their titles, with their transitions into levels are extremely cool. They have these little interstitial storytelling moments between like finals, semifinals, qualifying, and stuff like that, where they actually paint like a fairly interesting picture of their world in a very small amount of time. It's like there's some shit going down in the Roller Dome world, that's for sure. And those bits are neat. But more than anything, it's just a good ass playing game. Like I said, I'm not good at it, mainly because of the tricks. My brain has just never been good at that stuff. Tony Hawk, holy shit, I'm bad at those games. Yeah. I might try playing it on a controller because I have been doing it on a mouse and keyboard.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I was controller.
And the trick system is a little fiddly on a keyboard, you know. It's a little bit like rubbing your head and patting your belly or whatever, or vice versa. And so I'm not great at the trick system, but what I like about the whole package and the combat and the movement and everything is it gets me to play. It makes me want to play at the best and put on a show, even though no one's there. And it's those types of combat systems are sort of rare.
Yeah.
Doom Eternal is one where I'm just like, I want to play at the absolute best that I can, and I get annoyed when I fuck up and like lose the flow.
Yeah, for sure.
And those are special combat systems that trigger that for me, and this very much triggers that for me. Like I said, I have not finished it. I really need to just like, I kind of need to go back several levels and just sort of ease back into it because
every level's like 3 minutes. If you're just playing the levels.
Yeah. But I have been enjoying. I've been 100%ing each level as I go, which is fun. The challenges are a good time, and I save the high score run for the last attempt, basically. So it's like you learn the whole level and the spawns really nicely, and then knock out like a 1,000,000-point score, which is very fun. It's good. It's a very cool, weird game. A third-person shooter, rollerblades trick, Tony Hawk trick game thing.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it as well. It's a little disappointing that like all the environments are just these stadiums. It makes sense in the context of the whole game, but I would almost love to see them expand on this format the way they did, because this is the Ollie Ollie team. And I really want to check out, they put out 2 games last year. I really want to check out Ollie Ollie World. Because it seems extremely cool, and I feel like this idea could be expanded into something really neat in a if you brought the walls down. I wanted the first game to be expanded on. Yeah, I get why they didn't. They kept it focused, which is fine. True, they're doing that Tony Hawk thing, like that's all very level based, and they're all ramps and half pipes and all that. But I think you could build a weird world that you could explore and do combat in. I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential for expansion with Roller Drome.
Yeah,
I don't know that they ever will, but it's still a really neat little thing. And were you gonna say something?
Yeah, no. I also played that game and I finished it, but I think I got through it in like 5 hours, and I just, like you said, I wanted more. From the format of that game, from the settings, the levels. Because have you done a boss fight yet?
Yep. Yeah. I'm like 60% of the way through or so.
Okay. I don't want to spoil anything, but that is like the only boss fight in the entire game.
That's fine.
It's a good boss.
Yeah.
It's a really good boss, and in the end, it kind of ups the ante, and it's very satisfying. But yeah, I almost wish I didn't see that boss, because that got my brain wilding out on ideas and concepts of like, oh wow, there's a lot more potential here than just like escape park.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, again, I just came away from that game wanting more from the level design. but the combat system is amazing and fun. And the music is great, and the visuals are cool as well. Cool game.
Yeah, extremely cool. It's the coolest game probably of the year for me.
Just my number 8 might have something to say about that.
Okay, we'll talk. And I also just want to make a point of saying I have it written down for a lot of the games on this list. Like you just mentioned, very good music. This 2022, I may not have loved the games, but the music, holy shit, there was a lot of good video game music this year. 2021, there wasn't much that stood out, but 2022, whew, my God. So, Rollerdrome, very good OST as well. And that is all.
Talking of good music, I'm trying to keep the segues going here, though. So far, we've done pretty well. My number 8 for 2022 is Neon White. Ever since I played, no one is going to know what the hell I'm talking about, but there was a little indie game years ago called Lonely Planet.
Right.
And it was quite similar to the blueprints of Neon White. You had a gun, and you were trying to run through a strange Japanese colorful level and shoot enemies as quick as possible. And I kept going back to Lonely Planet because there was just nothing else like it for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden, last year, Neon White just kind of came out of nowhere for me. I remember the trailer popping up at some Game Award stuff, and not to be rude to Neon White, but the game doesn't really translate very well visually. It's just, I don't know, a lot of indie games, not to be rude, they kind of can blend together and look kind of the same, and Neon White kind of succumbed to that fate for me, where I saw it for 30 seconds and I was like, that looks like an indie game thing. Also, it had playing cards in the trailer, and I was like, oh god, more playing card stuff. But yeah, it turns out Neon White is fucking cool as hell. If for anyone who missed it, it's basically a game which encourages speed running within its levels, but it also doesn't really force you. I think to finish the game, you do have to reach a certain criteria of medals per level. But the best thing about Neon White is it allows you to dive down the rabbit hole of every level as deep as you want to go. The only thing you have to accomplish in Neon White is kill every demon and get to the end of the level. And the first time you beat every level, you will follow the main path that the game kind of visually guides you along. And it's always fun to do that because it feels great to do the main path in every level. The levels flow amazing, they're all designed really well, and you get to the end and you'll get a bronze medal. And you're like, what the fuck do you mean bronze, dude? I went so fast. And then the game cleverly will give you a little hint, a little visual hint saying, you know, you can actually jump over this wall over here and cut off this entire chunk of the level which we designed. And then you do that and you get a diamond medal. You're like, oh, that's cool. But wait a minute. There's another wall over here the game hasn't hinted towards me to jump over, and I feel like I could jump over that. But you never have to do that. The game allows you to dive as deep as you want on a per level basis, and every level is really cleverly designed around that concept of playing for 30 seconds to 30 minutes per level. And there's a lot of content in this game. I have played for 12 hours and I haven't beaten this game.
Yeah.
I'm on chapter 7 of 12? 10?
10 or 11, I think. Yeah, I think I'm on the final chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at 15 hours or something. Yeah.
I just I hit a wall when I got to 2022 catch-up stuff, and I went through a bunch of other games. I actually jumped in recently just to get a feel for Neon White again. And the game has the game does a great job of varying the guns in the game. The guns are basically just a representation of movement mechanics. They obviously do shoot bullets as well, but there's a fun mechanic where when you get rid of the gun, when you discard the gun, it initiates a type of movement which is very important to platforming and platforming fast. And there's a very strategic part of the game where you're figuring out how to use the bullets before you get rid of each gun. It's a weird platforming speedrun puzzle game. And I think I'm going to stop trying to describe the game because it's really alien and bizarre. It has a really unique format to it. And I think because I know Jamison edits these videos and you'll be seeing his speedy footage, I think you can probably just get a sense of how this game flows and works from just watching the footage. And if it looks satisfying to you, I would highly recommend it. It's not only a good platforming game, but if you're actually good at shooting, you'll be able to find unique strategies from that.
Oh, yeah.
It feels really satisfying to not only platform fast, smooth, and good, but but to hit a crazy hard, like, long-distance shot to hit a demon and, like, cut off 5 seconds. Yeah, this game is very unique. It feels amazing and satisfying to play. Its music's amazing. Its art is unique. I didn't like it when I saw the trailer, but I have weirdly come to quite like the style of Neon White.
It's extremely legible. Like
yeah.
The art. Yeah, it all exists to make it, like, super clear what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is controversial, but I've weirdly come to like its weird, like, animes, novel, storybook stuff.
Huh.
It's giant cringe fest. Because I just don't think it would be the same game without it. I don't think the writing is very good, but I don't know. It's just part of the strange puzzle that makes Neon White what it is, if that makes sense. And I kind of just like this weird game for all of its positives and its flaws. And if it didn't have that stuff, it just wouldn't have stuck in my head as much as it has, I think. Even if I think some of the writing and dialogue is really strange, cringy, and sometimes perverted. Huh. Like, odd.
I won't lie,
yeah.
I have fast-forwarded through every single second of the dialogue.
I've listened to all of it.
Even the intro video, I was like, oh, God.
I like the intro video. It goes hard.
God. I don't love the music. I think it's...
I love the music in this game.
It works for the, like, propelling you forward, but it doesn't... I don't know. It's okay. It's okay. But I don't love
It's really
music.
Weird music.
It is, yeah.
It's very strange. I don't even have to put a genre on it.
Like the visuals, again, I wouldn't say I love either the visuals or the music, but they both work really well for making you play fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the style of this game.
I do, yeah.
It's hard to pin that. It just makes for a really unique thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm complimenting every aspect of it, especially the writing and story, but there's just nothing else like this very strange alien package.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my number 8, Neon White. If you like going fast in games, highly recommend it. The visual gameplay that you're seeing right now is probably selling it more than talking about it. It's a crazy content-rich package as well, which is a bit of a theme for 2022. Lots of games had lots of hours behind them, which is lovely.
Yeah, maybe not always a positive, but yes.
Not always a positive, yeah, but I'm 12 hours in and I've taken a break.
Yeah.
And I look forward to the fact that I can come back and probably play like another 6 or 7 hours of that game.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, there's some cool stuff further in as well. And, yeah. Great.
My number 8.
Well, I didn't love the visuals in Neon White. We're trying to keep the segues here.
Segues.
Number 7, I really didn't like the way it looked, and that's why it's so good. It's called Scorn.
Oh, damn!
I'm probably gonna get put on a watch list or something for having this on my top 10. But Scorn is a sicko pervert game made for sickos and by sickos, and I'm not convinced that it wasn't someone's fetish game, but that's okay because it sure nails what it's going for.
Yeah,
and what it's going
the source
for,
material is perverted anyway, right?
It is, yeah. I think actually I'm sort of being rude to them because it is such a complete, perfect, what's the word?
Encapsulation?
Encapsulation, yeah, of the H.R. Giger mentality and aesthetic. Like, Giger's stuff was not just aesthetically wild, it was conceptually wild as well, and it's all about, like, flesh and machinery merging and running horribly amok, and there, I can't remember what the term is for his, like, philosophy or whatever that, but, like, they understand everything about it in Scorn, and all of Scorn, like, every single thing in that game is about that, basically. Like, all the guns, the parasites, the, like, weird story, the ship stuff you find at the end. It's a real fucking weird thing, and I can't believe it got, like, the exposure that it got.
Yeah, the marketing was odd.
Because it's an extremely weird game. Even without the visuals, it's a Like it's mostly a Myst-ish game in that there's like really obtuse large-scale mechanical puzzles that you have to solve to progress through the game. And then they also put a bit of shooting in it, which is not good. And also the puzzles aren't very good either because the visual style has run amok so completely that it like corrupts the readability of the puzzles. And the puzzles are obnoxious. But I didn't really give a shit about any of that because I was so perplexed by the fucking bizarre-ass art and vibe of the entire thing. And I said it on the podcast, I regard the alien, visiting the alien ship in Alien 1. I regard that scene very highly. And this is an entire game that's just that for 3 hours or 4 hours, basically. It only took me like 3 hours and 15 minutes to beat, and it is maybe the most memorable 3-hour game I'll ever play. I don't know if it's a positive, but because I wanted to like have a shower at the end of the game, and I also was worried I was going to be like put on a federal watch list at times, especially near the end. When the flesh really starts to go into other flesh, and
that game's fucked up.
That game is fucked up, and I don't know if it's a good game. I don't think it is.
No, it's
but
not a good game.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they did either.
No, I don't think they did either, and I respect that. I respect their utter commitment to just, we're gonna make this game look exactly like that guy's art.
Yeah. And
that's not a small accomplishment. Like, they spent years working on the game for a reason, because the art is so astonishing. It's so detailed. I don't think I've ever seen a game that so thoroughly nails exactly what it's going for. And it's
I know what you're
probably the best looking game of the year in that sense. Like, every area looks like a weird, horrible painting in a way. And
it almost looks at times like AI art. You get that like malformed, twisted, psychedelic alien stuff.
Yeah, and I mean that's
handmade. Yeah,
and that's there was another artist that they were really inspired by that has a much harder to remember name. Zadislav Beksinski. He's a Polish painter. His art looks like AI art, let me tell you. It's very disturbing, very weird, like flesh and technology and geometry sort of merging in. So those were the two. Geiger's the famous one, though, so he gets all the credit. But, Scorn. Oh, fucking what the hell was that game?
I like Scorn as well.
Yeah.
It was a good experience.
It was certainly an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be a certain person to connect with it. I understand why people wouldn't like it. I think if everyone liked it, that would mean they did the wrong thing, if that makes sense.
I think games where everyone likes them are really boring.
Yeah.
Which we will maybe talk about later on this list.
Well, everyone except for us.
Yeah. This is like the definition of a cult classic, I think. It's raised up to mostly positive on Steam, just looking at it here, which feels right. It's like most people are going to be really put off by it, but there's a certain sicko that is going to really be into it, and we are those people, so I especially am, so yeah.
Nice.
Good job, weird people that made this. I don't know, they're probably European.
Do you want to keep the segues going?
If you can, go for it.
Talking about disgusting, strange, psychedelic games, my number 7 of 2022 is Norco.
Right, yes.
Yeah, probably the most recent one I've played, which made it onto my list.
Cool.
I have no idea how to explain this one. I'm actually sorry to get a bit, on script and not free-flowing, but I am going to have to just read some notes for this one because...
Yeah, go for it.
It is the strangest game of the year that I played. It's a point-and-click narrative adventure It's based around a near-future Louisiana where your mum has recently died while investigating a strange orb in the nearby lake. That is the opening premise of the game. But it goes many strange places. What happens next can only be described as an Alice in Wonderland swamp gas psychedelic parody, but also self-serious adventure you might dream up when suffering from a fever. That was my notes, if you couldn't tell. I think the only small problem with Norco is it does take a little while to get going.
Yeah.
The first couple of chapters of Norco, you're like, what is this game? What's happening? What's it going for? What's it trying to be? And what's it trying to do? Is it trying to be funny? Is it trying to be clever? And for me, it did take until Act 3 for everything to really fall. There's 3 acts, so the last third of the game, everything like really comes together nicely. All the setups pay off, all the characters come together. And I do think it has my favorite writing and characters of the entire year. And you may be looking through the list, that isn't actually that much of a
No, it's not
award.
a high bar.
It's not that much of a high bar. This game also has incredible art at times. You'll see when you get to it. And it manages to go from feeling quite profound and poetic and intellectual to also feeling quite stupid, silly, fun, and juvenile, like the next scene. It has a real backwards and forwards in tones and intent, but it just somehow balances everything really well. It kind of reminds me of like some of the better Korean films, so they flip between tones in a way which doesn't feel like you're getting whiplash. Some parts of the game are even like kind of obnoxious in their abstract like poetry. I felt similar about certain aspects of Kentucky Route Zero, where it was going like a little far for my taste, but quite similar to Kentucky Route Zero, it always comes back around just in time and it never hangs too long on some of the more out there scenes. But yeah, I don't think I want to say much more. If you like this genre, and if you like strange, interesting worlds, sci-fi concepts, and abstract artistry in video games at times, if you like Disco Elysium and you like Kentucky Route Zero, you should play Norco. I think it's definitely up with Disco Elysium for me. I might even like Norco a little bit better. Because Disco Elysium itself has some really great moments of levity, but I think it plays it a little straighter than Norco. Actually, I don't know. They actually both are a little silly at times.
Yeah.
I'm gonna match them for now. They both have a real like backwards and forwards in tone, which makes me respect both those games a lot. And yeah, Norco is kind of brilliant, I think. And I think I'm gonna leave it there because it's on Game Pass. And I don't know how to sell it to people, but again, if you like Disco Elysium, that type of vibe, you should really play Norco. It's something quite special, even if you don't like it. And that's how I'll leave it.
This is one of the like major ones that I want to play through, but I just haven't gotten to yet. That's not true. Like I played 2 hours of it in June, and then have tried to. I booted it up like twice over the last couple of weeks and played for like 15 minutes, and then I'm just like, I'm not in a reading game mood right now. So I'm just sort of, but it's interesting to hear that what you said about chapter 1 and 2, because it does feel a little meandering. Early on.
It gets fucking crazy near the end.
Yeah, I've seen little hints of that for sure. But yeah, I historically do like these types of games and these weird things, and I've heard people praise it endlessly. So I look forward to getting into the mood to play it because, it seems like my jam.
It also gets really funny at the end as well. It like sets up a lot of good character stuff that all pays off nicely. Nice,
yeah. I remember laughing pretty good at the weird cat bit early on in the
when he shoots into the sky.
When he shoots into the fucking moon, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
That's like a good like setup for what that game is going to be like at times.
Yeah, right now I'm trying to get into the Best Buy that's run by all the Bryans or whatever the fuck their names are.
That's my favorite section of the game.
Which is very weird. I look forward to it very much because, Disco Elysium was great. Kentucky Route Zero. I think I'm more on the side of like I like the seriousness of Kentucky Route Zero. That game is a very contemplative, very slow. I think about that game like constantly. I really look forward to replaying all of KRZ.
Yeah, I could replay it for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, good. I'm glad it's on the list. I'm glad it showed up here somewhere because, it really sort of snuck out early this year, and there was some. Yeah. That's why I bought it because I saw people talking about it. But it's definitely picked up a lot of momentum over it mainly because Game Pass now, so that's great. So
we've got a very varied list so far, I will say.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wonder what our total is. It's normally I think our average number of games is 15.
Right, because like our bottom 5 is weird indie games that we have different tastes for.
Yeah. So we'll see. So far there hasn't been anything right that we've shared.
Anything. No, not yet.
That's cool. Yeah. I don't think my number 6 is going to be on your list. Mm-hmm. I would be surprised because you did not like a lot of it in the way that I.
Yes.
My number 6 is A Plague Tale Requiem.
Nice.
So major caveat to get out of the way, much like Scorn, I don't think the gameplay is very fun in this game. In fact, the gameplay systems are exactly the things that I bitch about a lot. See the Last of Us review. See parts of, I don't know, any game that's like crouch in the grass and throw the thing to distract.
So I just want to say that I recently played through this game like last week, and the first 10 hours of that game, I was like, I can't believe Jamison liked this game. I was like shocked. Because I really did not like the first 10 hours.
And you historically do enjoy those types of like you enjoyed playing The Last of Us 2, right? Like
I did.
Or stealthing around at times in Horizon, for example. I don't.
I think for me, like I don't want to like obviously overlap your review, but I liked the first game because it was, it's the first unique entry, and it's like, this is a weird, very nice looking game in a horrible plague with rats, and the novelty carried it. And I just felt like the first 10 hours was the same game all over again, except the combat was more frustrating because you start with like no combat options really. Yeah,
and then you get a crossbow and you just murder everyone for the last half of the game.
Yeah, I'll let you continue before I interject.
Yeah, so it's quite a long game. So by chapter 3, I was about to stop playing it and never touch it again because I was so not enjoying the combat.
Yeah, I was tempted.
And so I knocked it down to easy. And I'm very glad I did because A, I would not have played through the whole game. And B, easy obviously makes things easier, weirdly enough.
Huh.
It, you can get away with a lot more things. You can stealth more generously, all these things. And so like I have to just sort of basically pick up the whole gameplay and just be like put that over there. Okay, gameplay, whatever. Which is not the last time I'm going to do that for this list, which is unfortunate because it is a video game. So the gameplay is a large part of it. But what I liked about this game was the journey. And I had played most of the first game, and it honestly didn't do like anything for me, and I couldn't tell you why. I thought it was fine. I don't remember anything from it though.
It was the same as the second game.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So like I don't know.
Less rats, I will say. Less rats.
Less rats, yeah, and less misery. Not much less misery because the first game is still bad times happening everywhere. But I think you said. The novelty was fresh and interesting for you in the first game, and I felt that way with this game because the first game like barely exists in my brain. I think I was also in the right mood for this type of thing when I wasn't for the first game. I enjoy a few things about this game that I don't get a lot of from games anymore, and it's that it's a linear action-adventure experience that lasts like 12 to 15 hours. It sort of represents like a type of game that has been mostly missing for a long time. And that sort of linear, tight experience is still something that I want for a lot nowadays, especially as every game is 100 hours long and open world. I also like that it's just this weird fucking French studio making a game it's one of those like sort of double A with triple A intentions, and we've talked about that a lot over the years, and I have a special place in my heart for those games, and they are like the Metro series is exactly like this to me, in that it's like it's endearing. They're trying their hearts out. They're not always getting there, but like they're putting in so much effort and passion, and I love that, and you can feel it in the game.
100%. I think even when I was streaming, I was like, it's nice to play a game which looks like a AAA game, but you can tell it was made by people.
Yes.
Like
not by a machine algorithm.
Like not to rip on like the big AAA games, but they're so shiny and highly produced and flawless that, I don't know, I like the human element of when Hugo's AI breaks and he starts spinning in circles. Like, I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
and I just like pathfinding broke. That's cute. I like it.
I just like the fact that it's trying to be like The Last of Us, basically. Except it's 14th century southern France rat-pocalypse, and you're playing as children, and it's a stealth game. It's just such a weird package, such a weird idea, such a weird pitch. But they execute it, like they commit to it. They don't always execute it well in the gameplay side of things, but they commit to the whole thing, and the journey was great, and I especially liked it by the time the second half of the game is kind of fantastic for me. Like from arriving at the island onwards is just like a great fun roller coaster of nonsense and misery.
For me, it was, I still didn't like the beginning of the island, the bit where you're like climbing up the mountain to get to like the
catacomb or like the church thing.
Because that's like the last force stealth section in the game. That was actually one of my lowest points of the entire game, because I couldn't stand the insta-fail force stealth. And
I do remember specifically that bit being really annoying. Yes,
But after that, seemingly out of nowhere, the game just became good. For me.
I'm glad
you unlock a bunch of different options, which makes combat more sandboxy. You actually have options and different things you can do to take down enemies. And the game becomes way more interesting in its story. You're not just crawling around fields and hiding in grass. It kind of becomes a little scorny, I want to say.
And Uncharted-y as well, like in terms of the scope.
It becomes like really gross, dirty, and nasty, and sad, miserable, and full of failure. And I kind of love the last 15 minutes. 15 hours, sorry. It's
15
hours. Last like
5 hours.
5 hours.
Yeah.
Got done the third time.
That was like, I had enjoyed it up to there, and I had enjoyed them just being like, just sort of crawling through the shit of their city and not really just like running from everything. I had enjoyed all that, but then once it gets to the island and they start to get into the like lore of the plague and how it's like this anyways. And then it just sort of peaks in the last 5 hours of just like, it goes crazy.
It goes crazy.
Like I'm glad that you felt that way, because like I think I'd said like this game goes for it in the end, and I didn't want to oversell it, but I didn't think I did. So it came good.
It really goes mental.
It goes crazy, yeah. So I actually had like a great time with it in retrospect, and obviously it is helped by playing on easy, but like I feel very fondly about the last sort of 6 or 7 hours of it, and then like the presentation, like the visuals are phenomenal. I played it on my TV. It looks insane. The rats look so good.
Their rat tech is actually like really impressive. I don't know how they do that.
It is, yeah. I think they said they got it up to 350,000 rats on screen.
It looks really cool.
Yeah, and they're basically, they're like a particle system, basically, I would imagine, with a large particle. But and then most importantly, thing I like most in this game is the music. This game has a fascinating soundtrack. The game would be substantially lesser without the music, or with different music, because this game, the soundtrack goes hard. It's like choir-ish, but orchestral and crunchy sort of at times, because there's like a lot of like harsh violins. But
Whenever
then they
the
get
rats are about to come, it has that little violin sting.
Yeah, the stingers and the violins, but then they use vocals really, really well. You go into this ancient giant tomb, and it's like this deep, like bassy, throaty, spooky sort of male choir going. And early when you get to the island, there's like this, and I actually saw this exact type of music in a movie recently that was also set in the south of France. So I think it might be like a south of France thing, but it's like this very light, airy choir sound that they have. Anyways, it's hard to describe music, obviously, but it creates a certain vibe that is pretty unlike any game music I've ever heard before, and it has stuck with me a lot. Like, good music can elevate a project a long ways because music is, very unique in that way. So, yeah, it was not on my radar at all. I did not think I was going to enjoy it, especially early on when I was very much not enjoying it. And by the end, I was like kind of struggling to put it down in the last like 5-hour chunk. And it ends hilariously grim, and it has a really cool post-game stinger as well. And
that was cool.
But it also feels like it's over, like it's done. Like if they do a third game, it's going to be very different. It's not going to be continuing this story in the sense of the characters. So. And I weirdly enjoyed the small cast of characters. I like the...
Yeah, I'd say I did.
Arno is fun, and the gypsy lady is cool. Sophia, yeah. And Lucas is, like, okay. Amicia is sort of obnoxious, but again, I talked about that on the podcast.
She's very annoying.
I don't think it's accidental. It's just sort of... It's hard when it's the main character that is obnoxious. But, it was a hell of a ride, that's for sure.
I say Amicia and Hugo are flawed in like a way which makes sense for their childish characters in a really adult situation type thing.
Exactly. Like Amicia is like what, 16?
15, 16, something like that.
And she's she's trying to keep her like 6-year-old brother alive. Like it's fucked, man. So I can't. But it is, I understand why they're obnoxious and stressed out all the time, but it is sort of exhausting as the player at times to have
it
that
can be,
nonstop. So. But yeah, that was my number 6.
Nice. Diverse list so far.
Yeah.
I think we're going to keep it going as well for a little bit. My number 6 is Curse of the Golden Idol.
Yes.
This year was not amazing for puzzle games. Until this little game came along for me. I feel like this flew under people's radar. I've said it to you in the Discord and to everyone who's played it, but this is essentially, it feels like a spiritual predecessor to Obra Dinn. When I first described it to you guys, I called it Obra Dinn 0.5, because it has the same gameplay, style, and philosophies, but it feels like a little bit of a step backwards in terms of ambition. For anyone who doesn't know, you are essentially similar to Obra Dinn. You are investigating a still moment from a murder scene, kind of frozen in time, except you can pan through different rooms, inspect objects and the pockets of people who were there, and then you have to decipher, decode what happened in the scene, who killed who, what happened, how it went down, and sometimes more than that, depending on the puzzle you are doing. I liked that compared to Obra Dinn. I shouldn't really compare it, they're completely two different games, but it's hard not to compare them. But I did like how they were individual little puzzles in the Golden Idol. I would do pretty much one a day, except for at the very beginning when they were very short, with a cup of coffee in the morning. But for me, this game wasn't really that high up this list as I was playing it. I was mostly just passively enjoying it as a fan of the Obra Dinn and being like, hey, this is something close to that, and I'm enjoying doing one of these little puzzles every morning. But this is, I think I've already said this a few times for games in my list, it really came together right at the very end for me, because I didn't know what was happening in this game overall. There is a continuous story from puzzle to puzzle, and I was connecting characters and events, and I was seeing the Golden Idol pop up, and I was starting to figure out what it did, but I didn't really understand what was happening. And there's a really clever reveal near the end, which brought everything together for me in a way which I wasn't expecting. Because sometimes I just don't give a shit about stories, and I shut my brain off and be like, whatever, I'm playing a game and I'm enjoying the gameplay. And I did that with Golden Idol, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, I actually now understand everything which has happened in this game, and I think it's kind of brilliant. And that is what cemented it as one of the best games of the year for me. Was not only was it a great little puzzle game, but it told a really fun story in a format where I was almost unaware I was being told a story or understanding the story until the very end.
That's
and
cool.
The plot twist of the game was, oh wait, I kind of wasn't supposed to be understanding the game because it left out vital parts of the puzzle. I thought it was me, but it was kind of intentional. And then it releases a few little pieces of information, and it's like, oh, I get it now. I love the art style of this game. It's really kind of janky and muddy and clumsy in a way which I find really charming. And I love the music for this game as well. One of my favorite soundtracks of the entire year. And yeah, I don't think I want to dive too much into details. It's a puzzle game, so it's always fun to just dive in mostly blind. If you like Obra Dinn and if you like the puzzle genre in general, this is my biggest recommend of the year for puzzle games. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and I love the little story it told.
Cool. Yeah, this is another one of those ones that's late in the year for me, and I've just not been in the right mood for it. So it's like on my sort of shame list of like I look for. Like I played an hour of it, and I was like.
Also, we have to talk about something. There is an inherent bias which comes out of discovering something from nothing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like, I already know you're probably not going to like this game as much as me because I've told you how much I like the game.
For sure, yeah.
And I found this game from a Twitter post saying, Lucas Pope recommends this game, and it had like 50 reviews on Steam, and I bought it, and I felt like I was one of the first people in the world to play it.
That was like me with Obra Dinn, basically. Like I played it the night it came out, and I was like, this is incredible.
And there is something a little bit special about thinking or feeling like you are a hipster to like a cult classic, an undiscovered gem. And for me, that was Curse of the Golden Idol this year. It felt like I was the first person in the world to play it, even though I obviously wasn't. And yeah, it turned out to be a great little thing. And I still stand by that it's a great little puzzle game. And I highly recommend it.
I'll be very curious to see it all the way through. But yeah, it's a very infrequent feeling that you get that. It's fun to sort of go diving into Steam every now and then and be like, oh, this has like 200 reviews. I'm going to pick it up and give it a try. And every now and then you find something and you're like, oh, fuck, this is amazing. And then it blew up pretty quickly.
It did, yeah.
Which is cool.
Which is good.
Yeah, that's great, yeah. We need more detective games, more good detective puzzle games, yeah.
The great genre.
It is.
Done correctly.
It is. Yeah. Tricky to get right, for sure. I don't think I have a good transition for this one. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I was just realizing, we so far no overlap at all, which is cool.
10 games so far, right?
10 games so far. Yeah, we definitely have a lot of overlap in like 6 and 7 has overlapped a lot historically, and our 1s have overlapped a lot historically. This will be a very interesting top 5. Well, my next game is the exact opposite of discovered before anyone else had played it. Okay. No one knew it was coming. This is not that game.
I know.
It's God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah. Do we have to even talk about God of War Ragnarok? We just talked about it for 2 hours.
No, yeah, we just put a 2-hour chat out about it. Here's the thing that's tough with the placement for this game. My number 5 has often been a spot where I'm just like, I don't know where to put a game, so I put it at 5 because it's right in the middle, you know. My gut says it should be lower on my list.
Damn, okay.
In terms of how frustrated and disappointed it left me. But my brain says, no, come on, stop it. And so yeah, I don't really know what to say.
What was your number 6?
Plague Tale.
So yeah, man, you gotta have more fun with Ragnarok than Plague Tale, right?
Probably yes.
Right.
But but the overall feeling is hard. And God of War is also suffering from recency. It's out very recently, and
You're still in like the stung period, which
Yeah,
I went through with Forbidden West.
Exactly. And I like giving a game like a year to sort of settle in and see really how I really do feel about it.
Yeah.
And
that will come up later.
yeah, exactly. And I also like I want to replay the game in New Game Plus so I can really get an idea of whether or not I do actually like the combat, because like I should in theory, because I love the first game's combat, but
you should, I feel.
and I also want to replay it because part of the reason I put so much time into it so quickly was because I was like, I want to get through the main story, and I kept thinking that at the very least the big finale would be awesome, and so I burned through it really quickly as well, sort of chasing that. So I look forward to replaying God of War and like being able to just come to terms with the fact that the story sucked and the other parts of it are sort of boring and repetitive, but it's still really cool and awesome, So
yeah.
But yeah, my main like reminder for me was like, think of the Nidhogg fight. Think of the Thor fight.
So
Think of the giant and the cauldron. Think of Fenrir and what was it? Gnar? I don't know. The Helheim dog.
Oh, Narm?
Narm? I don't know. Think of, all the cool visuals and the sick moment where like someone turns into a bear when you're fighting in like a weird, like there's like a weird galaxy visual in the background, and there's just like
fight.
There's a ton of cool shit in the game, and there were, the first time you get the spear, and it's like, okay, there's a lot of good shit in God of War, but like I said, that's the most accurate way I can summarize it. My gut is like, but my brain is like, yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all. We did a 2-hour chat about God of War.
2-hour chat. You can leave a link to that down below.
Feelings are complicated.
Yeah.
And going into it, I would have thought it would have been like an easy top couple of game, like top 2, based on how much I liked the first game and what I expected from it. So yeah,
all right.
There you go.
We can talk about it in a bit. My list is the next 4 are a little strange because I almost got to the point where I was going to consider 2 draws. Because my 5 and 4 went to war. They have gone backwards and forwards, switching multiple times. And my 3 and my 2 did the exact same thing. Where I switched them so many times where I was like, wait, if I can't decide this simple thing, then surely it's a draw. But I actually I changed my 5 and 4 while we were talking, and then I changed it back. I'm not joking.
Don't worry. I've done that before. I've done that more than once.
You might even hear me typing. I actually changed my number 5 to 4, and then my number 4 to 5, and then I was like, no, you can't. Just put it back. Anyway, my number 5 of 2022 is Sifu.
Ah, yes, Sifu.
Sifu is... I kind of like, when I, used this, I try and be cool with the segues, and I said like Neon White was the coolest game of the year. I lied. The coolest game of the year is Sifu. It's also the hardest game of the year for me, because I'm not very good at fighting games. I'm not even very good at Souls games, and that is like light attack and dodge, and that's the whole game. And Sifu is a bit more demanding than that. Actually, it's way more demanding than anything I've ever played. If people haven't played Sifu, the format is every time you die in Sifu, you get older until you cross over 80 years old, and then you die for good and your run is over. There are 5 long, difficult levels, and you basically have to beat all 5 of them in one run. The game does allow for shortcuts, but if you use the shortcuts, you skip gaining experience and getting upgrades via these little dragon trophies. It does allow basically checkpointing at a level from your best starting age, but really, no matter what, eventually you're going to have to beat all 5 long levels with 5 hard boss fights in one run. And there is no way to do that without mastering this game. And the thing that this game reminded me the most of was my journey through Sekiro. I'm not going to go over it again, but Sekiro, I got my ass handed to me for like 10 to 15 hours. And I didn't really enjoy Sekiro because of that for a little while. And then I managed to get over that hump in Sekiro, and it was one of the most satisfying experiences in gaming. And I think Sifu might have beaten Sekiro when it comes to just that satisfaction point of mastery. There really is no game quite like this when it comes to mastering a combat system. It took me a long time to master this game. I even got to the last boss in the game, and I realized when I got to the last boss of the entire game that I don't know shit about Sifu, and I'm really bad at this game, because I couldn't land a hit on the final boss for 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, during the final boss of the game, it was like seeing the Matrix. It was like I unlocked the code finally. And after I beat the final boss for the first time, there's a secret ending where you have to go through the entire game again, and you've got to basically do a harder version of every boss fight, where you essentially spare them. You don't kill the boss, and that unlocks the true ending. And I did it on my first ever attempt after beating the final boss. I beat all 5 levels in a row, hard version of every boss, and got the true ending on my first attempt.
Eesh.
And it's not because I'm a god gamer, it's because the game doesn't let you beat the game until you have mastered and unlocked the code of Sifu. And it feels fucking amazing. It feels amazing. And there's really no way to get experiences like Sekiro and Sifu without a gauntlet of pain. And if you are willing to do it, you will be rewarded with one of the most like, oof, that felt fucking good feelings in video games. And yeah, if you like Sekiro, you should go in for Sifu because it has the very same reward, satisfaction, mastery feeling. It also has one of the coolest visual art styles of the year as well. I think this game looks amazing. I love the animation of combat. I think the whole game is a spectacle to watch. And, you know, being the one who's doing all this cool shit just feels damn awesome. I never thought I'd beat this game, and I wasn't sure if I'd like this game. But yeah, I banged my head against the Sifu wall until I broke through the other side, and I really am glad I did, because it was one of the coolest and most satisfying experiences of the year.
I'm glad to hear that, because when it came out, watching reviews, I was like, this game sounds so cool.
It is so cool, man.
But, like, also, I know I'll probably never get through it. And
you could, but it's
well, they have added
rough.
difficulty modes now, so you can knock it down to an easier difficulty, which is good that that's there. But I know myself, and I know like I'm so bad at like this type of combat. So I'm glad, but I'm glad one of us got through it, and I'm not surprised it was you, obviously, because you're more into this sort of thing. But because it's such a unique combination of ideas and executed really well, and it's the game that I probably have the most respect for this year that I did play the first level and then got distracted by something else, and you know and I was on easy as well, so it almost felt like too easy, where there's just like are there any stakes here, you know?
Yeah,
because you do want to die because you have to be able to get good at it. So anyways, it just seems like a really, really cool ass thing.
Yeah, I think my only complaint about the game is I do think the format is super interesting. You know, the getting older and dying.
Yeah.
But it can be a little convoluted at times, and I think it will also be the gatekeeping aspect of the game, which will mean that a lot of people won't finish this game.
Yeah.
Or even play it in the first place out of fear. Which is a shame, because there's stuff in it which is so good and so visually cool that you want it to be accessible to everyone. But you know, like we said, not every game is made for everyone, and sometimes it's better off that way and feels more special for the people that do play it.
Yeah, like I have no sadness for being the type of person that looks at this and be like, yeah, this is probably not for me, because like I like that. I like that every game is not for me, and it's weird, and that's like That's like the recurring theme of the list for me, for the most part, is like, where's the weird shit? Here it is. Okay, this is interesting to me. Like Scorn, like Rollerdrome, like the large parts of Plague Tale. Like, these are weird things, and Sifu is a weird bunch of ideas, and I don't know. There's lots of talk, especially this past year. There's lots of talk about like accessibility and games being approachable for all players, and games are, like we already said once, games are just less interesting when everyone can play them.
Yeah. Games should be approachable to all people by choice. Like when it comes to disability. Like that's what I wanted to jump in on myself and be like, everyone should be able to like physically play a game, but like taste-wise, and that includes difficulty. Like if you they added difficulty modes to this, and that's good. I think that's a good thing. But like, because easy might be really hard for some people, and that's cool. But like, the design-wise and taste-wise, it's good that weird things like this exist and are getting made. Mm-hmm. I think the easy mode is good for this game because it's more punishing than even From Software stuff, which is like the pinnacle of make an easy mode in it argument.
Right.
With online discourse, and it's such a beautiful, cool game that I think I'm happy it's got an easy mode because I think people should play it.
I feel like it's a game I should really just watch someone play through. Yeah.
It's cool. Like visually, it looks awesome.
Oh yeah, like there were a lot of good PC mods as well where they like swapped the character model out for John Wick.
I saw Shaggy as one of them.
Like all these stuff. Like that was good stuff as well. Yeah, because the combat just looks cool, and the game, like the art style and all that is awesome. Yeah. So good.
It is out there and dreamy and abstract as it goes deeper into the game. It's cool.
I do remember looking at some of the later levels, and just that was like a driving force of like, I want to see this. It looks so cool.
Yeah, the museum level especially is very sick.
Nice. Great. Still no overlap. My God.
Not yet.
Well, if it's time for my number 4, we're going to have our first moment of overlap.
Oh.
What could it be? Do you want to take a guess? No, it's fine.
I can't remember my own list.
No, I know.
What was my list?
I can't either. My number 4 is Neon White.
Oh, damn. That's high.
Yeah. It's number 4 because I think it's probably the most fun to play game of the year for me. Gameplay systems were lacking in 2022.
Yeah.
And Neon White is just this pure distilled gameplay game. Like I said when we talked about it earlier, I have fast forwarded every single second of the story. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not interested. I'm here to speed through the levels. It's so nice to have a leaderboard game.
Yeah,
we don't get leaderboard chasing, score chasing, time trial stuff anymore. I feel like it's so infrequent. This is in a way a lot like, it's like a first-person Trackmania, first-person shooter Trackmania, in that it's time trial. It's all about finding the perfect path through the level. And my God, is it ever satisfying. And early on, the first few levels, I was like, yes, this feels great, but like, everyone's time is so much fucking faster than mine. How are they doing this?
I do love those moments where you get an amazing run.
Yeah.
That you think it's an amazing run and someone's 10 seconds faster and you're like, excuse me?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Yeah, and so like slowly the game trains you to like know how to find the paths, and it's really fun to replay the levels earlier and bring your new sort of like you said about Sifu, like the matrix code. You can see the paths through the levels in Neon White and be like, oh, that's how you did it. Okay. And then my favorite part of the leaderboards was when it was like, you're 1 second faster than me. Most of the cases, it was literally you, because only like 3 people on my friends list had played the game. So, but your times for the first 5 levels were, they were respectable. They were solid.
Mine correlates to Trey from the Zombie Ascension Easter eggs scores, because whenever I beat his, I was like, all right, I'm done. Because he was my benchmark.
Right, and so you were the number 1 for me, and I beat you on every level. Which, in some cases, in some levels by a good amount, because I felt like, oh, that was a cheeky little run. And it's very satisfying to do that and spend like sometimes quite a while really, really mastering it. And the best levels are the ones that are like 20 to 25 seconds or less. sub 30-second levels are the best ones. The ones that run a little long, but the ones that you're just like, that was 15 seconds, let's get it to 14.8 seconds. And shaving off that tiny, tiny little amount of time is where it gets so satisfying to me, because it is like, those are the parts where it becomes a bit of a driving game as well, where it's like your physical movement through the corners matters, because an ideal driving line is very specific because it's actually the straightest line through it. And just doing little things like that of just like, I'm taking this corner at a wider angle, thus spending less time moving through the level, shaves off 1/100th of a second, and you're like, fuck, okay. Just stack that up 3 times and you get, you know.
It's fun to emulate the speedrunning science without having to like sign up to a Discord and pick a game. And not to be rude, but like arbitrarily just set yourself like I'm gonna beat this game really fast because I want to be part of this community. It's fun to just have that experience put into a fresh game, because I would probably never do it otherwise. Yeah.
It's one of those things that is sort of infrequent, but chasing the speedrunning feel is something that I wish more games would do, because it's so fun to do.
The game has good physics as well. It feels good to glide around. Did you ever see back in the day like the CS:GO surfing videos?
Yeah, like the bunny hop stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot of like gliding around in those videos. Like it had to be very clean curves.
It's like
a lot of neon
Titanfall
white.
shit.
Yeah, a lot of neon white reminds me of that.
Yes, these smooth, like something about the mouse, like smooth mouse, like turning 90 degrees, but you're floating through the air and also moving at 100 miles an hour. Yes, yeah. That might be part of it as well, because it does feel like high-end Titanfall movement at times, with all the bouncing and It's just a great combination of shooting, movement, optimal paths, and it does that great thing where that not a lot of games do, but the special ones are good at it, where it makes you sort of feel like you're cheating and breaking the game and being like, I'm not supposed to go this way, right? But you are. Everything is valid, basically. The only disappointment I have really is the worldwide leaderboards are all like the top 10 or 20 are all hacked, which is disappointing.
Yeah, makes sense.
But there was one level where I got like 230th in the world, and I was like, fuck yeah, dude, that was satisfying. And it took me like, I spent like an hour on it, and it's just like, it's just such a good, like, raw gameplay, satisfying, fun thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's that you don't get it. I don't get it very often. It really does remind me most of something like Trackmania, which I have enjoyed a lot. Of just like, I want to just shave time. Let's go.
Yeah. The first time you get a ruby medal is very like, oh my god, there's a medal above diamond. Holy shit.
Yeah. So it's been a good time. I don't think I beat it. I think I'm in the last chunk of levels, which I won't say are my favorite of the lot. It's an interesting mechanic that the last sort of book card gun thing is, but not my most favorite of the lot, but that's fine. The chunk before it where you have the rocket launcher grapple thing is very good.
Yeah, that's where I just got to.
Yeah, it's very fun. It's a little less fun in the back half because I don't have a really good time to chase. I'm just sort of handily getting to the top, so hopefully you can break my times and then I can go back and break yours one more time and feel content. We'll see. But even if that doesn't happen, that's okay, because the sort of 7 or 8 levels up to that point were super satisfying, and there's a lot in there. It's a big game. It just sort of keeps going. Yeah. In the good way, though, not in like the exhausting God of War way, or some of the other games on this list, maybe. It's feature content rich in a satisfying way. So there you go.
Remember when I said that my number 5 and my number 4 went to war?
Oh,
my number 4 is God of War.
Oh,
Ragnarok.
Yes.
Yeah, so again, we almost put it in the exact same place, very closely. And even during this talk, I put it down to number 5. Because, I don't know, it's just, it and Sifu are very, very close to me. Because they are my 2 favorite combat systems of the year. But God of War Ragnarok does just trump Sifu for the fun that I had with the combat system. Again, we're not going to go too deep into it, but the too long didn't listen to the 2-hour chat is that I had an absolutely amazing time with fighting stuff in God of War Ragnarok. I absolutely loved the combat system. I loved the increased enemy variety. I loved all the boss fights and just the way the combat felt. I also really enjoyed a lot of the character moments and story moments.
Yeah.
But for me, the weaknesses are pretty similar to Jamison. I did not like the Ragnarok story. I mostly didn't understand what was going on or what characters were trying to do, specifically Atreus. Not that I disliked Atreus' character. I just didn't understand what he was doing. I didn't really understand what Odin was doing. And when everything wrapped up, I just was like, what was the point of all of that? And I went in really caring about the story of Ragnarok because I really enjoyed the story of 2018. So that was a big disappointment for me. And I also didn't really care for the side activities and puzzle stuff in Ragnarok. And there was a lot of it.
Yeah.
So when you bring everything together, I think we said in the review that a game is a sum of its parts. I just didn't like quite a few substantial and important parts of God of War Ragnarok, even though I absolutely had a blast stabbing, slashing, and burning stuff in that game. The top 10 list is not an objective list. It's the games that we had the most fun with, at least it is for me. And that's why it trumped Sifu, even though overall, Sifu is a cooler and more put together product. I just had a bit of a better time stabbing and enjoying the spectacle of God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I wish it was a little higher, but it is what it is. I don't think it stung me as much as it stung you, but I was also disappointed by big chunks of Ragnarok. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, longer chat down below if you want it. Like a 2.5-hour chat.
Yeah, a very long chat. All right, my number 3, I guess. God, we're zooming.
Yeah, this is where things get interesting.
Number 3 is not a small video game, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Which big game is it, though?
I will have the same question for you when it comes time for my number 3.
Yeah, I'm fascinated about this top 3 for us, that's for sure.
Yeah.
My number 3 is Elden Ring.
Interesting. Okay. My number 3 is Elden Ring as well.
Wow, okay.
It's number 3.
Yeah.
It's number 3.
I would have thought it would have been number 2. I know.
I wish it was number 2.
I knew it wasn't going to be your number 1, but I thought might have been number 2. I don't know.
Like I said, it was almost a tie. It was almost
a
tie, but we'll get to it. It's your turn.
I think it sounds right because you definitely had issues with it, and I did too. But, and again, we talked for a long time about Elden Ring in our big roundup. But first of all, it's cool to get a legitimate, undeniable, generation-defining game release. Mm-hmm. They're very infrequent. In my mind, this could be wrong, but in my mind, the 3, maybe 4, are Skyrim, GTA 5, The Witcher 3, and this game, right? In terms of just cultural
I think people
impact.
would put Breath of the Wild up there as well, but
yeah, but
that's
I think
debatable.
I think it was also hampered by I don't know. Anyways, but in terms of the sheer scope of interest from all walks of people that play games and don't play games, the impact it had on everyone for such a long period of time, and then hopefully the impact it has on games going forward. It's harder to judge that when it's so fresh, of course, but you look at Skyrim and The Witcher and GTA and maybe Breath of the Wild, but definitely Skyrim and The Witcher, and you're these games majorly have shifted the way AAA games are made or what they are focused on. And it was cool to have something so monumental like that release. And, it became such a meme at a certain point of where's Elden Ring? What's Elden Ring? The hype for it. And it delivered. And they did it. And that's awesome. I was disappointed, as we discussed. I was disappointed by how extremely Dark Souls it is. In that it is, in so many ways, just Dark Souls 4, 5, and 6, and 7 probably all combined. But you know what I mean in terms of just like the HUD, the structure, the storytelling, the interface, the combat, the controls, all these things. Like it's extremely one of those games, and that is one of the reasons it's at 3. Is like I kind of hoped for like, I don't know. I had ideas in my head about like an open world FromSoft game after Sekiro and like all the cool movement in Sekiro and you know it is, and then you're back and you're just walking slowly, clunkily with a big ass sword like every Dark Souls game, and you know so that still lingers for me. And then of course there's just many frustrations that are inherent to FromSoft games. And the last 20 hours I did not have a good time with, but the game benefits from being out in February, and almost a year has passed, and I, can settle down and be like, okay, I've digested the Elden Ring experience, which was 100 hours to play through, and then another 75 hours for content stuff, so it's like, it's a lot of that video game, and, I look back on it now, you're like, yeah, okay, this was pretty fucking good. Like, yeah. I didn't love it. I don't think the gameplay is like the most fun thing in the world, but like the journey of Elden Ring is one for the books. There are so many crazy moments, reveals, pieces of landscape art and framing, and these. More than anything, though, the thing that stands out is the level design. Is just like on a level that is so beyond any other open world game.
It's a magnum opus product when it comes to the world design. The Lands Between is the greatest open world map ever made, in my opinion, from an art style perspective, at least.
Well, and I think from a layout as well, like just the amount that is crammed in there and the layering of it, and the underground stuff and the legacy dungeon areas, which feel like these great classic, big sprawling linear environments, and it does feel like the culmination of the last 10 years, 12 years of the FromSoft journey, which it's like an homage to their own stuff. Yeah, and it's hard to wrap your head around the fact that it has really only been just a bit more than a decade.
Yeah, they move.
Like, Demon's Souls was 2009.
God, they really move.
Dark Souls, which was the one that really started it, was 2011, and a decade later, they've put out like one of the biggest best-selling games of all time, of the year, best reviewed game of the year.
Yeah, they really figured it out, honestly.
It's shocking. It's shocking. I don't think
if
any
you just make
studio...
a 15 to 20 hour really good game.
Yeah.
That's mostly linear, but has a few options in the way you can do things. This is before Elden Ring I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You can get games done a lot quicker. And, if you make more games, you could probably make more money and increase your reputation and fan base by doing that and become really revered in the industry instead of making one mediocre open world RPG every 9 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, there's a bit of a podcast segue there.
But like that's also like they haven't let up with their game releases.
No,
like Sekiro came out in 2019. Like it's crazy. But it does feel like that sort of same with the Witcher, where it's like here is this bunch of weirdos in the late 2000s making this weird ass impenetrable game, basically with The Witcher 1 and Dark Souls or Demon Souls. And then the second game comes out and it's like starts to catch on. Extremely the case with Dark Souls, and then within under a decade these companies have like transformed into like the biggest and most revered company game releases ever, and it's just wild to see the journey of FromSoft. And that I feel like that, I don't know, there's so much to say, but also like we've said it all, and it's a hell of a thing, that's for sure. And there are many things that I wish stood out more, and I wish I had been forced to sort of mix up my broken-ass gameplay style more, but whatever, like, there are so many other moments that are just like, wow, look at this shit, holy crap, what a... like the 40-hour long sort of underground journey that I went on, and like it kept me up till 3 a.m. a couple of nights, which most games do not ever do because I'm a very schedule-oriented boy, and it's abnormal to have that. And also another one with an amazing soundtrack. I will hand it over to you, the From Software expert and big boy fan that you are.
Yeah, I'm sad where this game is on my list. I wish it was higher, and maybe it will go higher with time.
Yeah, and there's still DLC as well, you know?
Yeah, but you really only get one first playthrough of Elden Ring, and exploring the lands between was one of my favorite gaming memories, not only of the year, but maybe of all time. Mm-hmm. It was my favorite world to explore ever. And I do think the first 20 hours of this game are my number one of 2022. But the game as in its entirety is not, unfortunately. I agree with you. I was a massive fan of Sekiro, and I was thinking that was like the beginning of From Software's combat systems moving upwards and forwards. And it just felt like a step backwards. I mean, jumping is something new for Dark Souls, I guess.
It's true.
It was fun jumping attacks were fun.
The horse can jump twice.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah. And when you use two weapons, you do like special attacks, which I enjoy. That was my first playthrough. Was not weapon arts. It was cool something when you use two of the same
power
class.
stancing.
Power stancing. That's what I got. Yeah. That's what I did for my first run. Again, exploration and discovery is one of my favorite parts in all of video games. It's probably why The Outer Wilds is still my favorite game of all time from a single-player perspective. And Elden Ring is one of the best games in the industry for taking you on a like Lord of the Rings scale adventure. And if you've somehow not played the game and you haven't seen any of the game and you go in blind, it is one of the most bewildering and awe-inspiring journeys and one of the most content-rich experiences you can get for $60. The amount of stuff in that game to the production quality that they've done it is fucking ridiculous in a pandemic as well.
Maybe my favorite moment of the year was when you posted the map like after your first stream, and we were both. It was just like,
we were all in Limgrave.
Excuse
me for 15 hours. We're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But I had some issues with this game. I didn't like the boss fights specifically. Not all of them, but a lot of the bosses I found relied on the delayed attack mechanic, which required precise memorization of timing, which kind of, I think, was a counter for dodging from Dark Souls 3. But I liked that dodging was powerful in Dark Souls 3 because it made me feel like I was winning because I was good at the game and I'd learned Dark Souls, and I understand they want to counter that. But I don't know, that's what Sekiro felt like it was designed for, to counter Dark Souls players, so it felt annoying to play Elden Ring and feel like I was countered again, and I just had to memorize these annoying wind-up attacks, which I pre-dodged because I can see he's gonna fucking swing, but I just didn't know the micro frame second, and I got hit. And I just found the inherent attack design of enemies frustrating and annoying. I didn't like the incessant combos and explosions from enemies. Sometimes I would be standing back and just watching an enemy. And I'm just sitting there like, am I going to play this game or am I just watching? Like, it felt like the boss was the main character and I'm just some dweeb who's like walked in lost. I'm an NPC.
Yeah.
And I just found a lot of this game grating and irritating in its design. And I felt fundamentally punished for not using the summon system.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't like. I think summoning real people is quite a unique and fun experience. It's a social experience to beat a boss with another human being. But the idea of summoning NPCs in Dark Souls does not interest me. I think it's just lame to have someone else hit and aggro an enemy and then you just stab them in the back until they die. Yeah. I like learning a boss's attack patterns and triumphing and getting that sense of reward. But because I missed that and ignored that, and I ignored magic and shields and
played it like a sicko.
Yeah, I played the game like a sicko, and I felt very punished for it. Which might be a stupid complaint to say, you made the game harder for yourself and it was harder, lol. But that's how I played all the other games, and they just felt more designed for my playstyle than this game did.
Yeah.
And I think I am part of the problem in my experience of Elden Ring. I was stubborn, and I wanted to play the game the way that I play Dark Souls. And I think if I had changed that and used summons and shields, I think I would have had more fun with Elden Ring, and it would be my number 1 of the year. And I can't take that back. Should I be punished for playing the game how I want to play it? I don't know.
Well, because I will say, like, I played it the way I would think they designed, right? Where I was using everything I had, aka summons. And it made the game too easy, honestly, because...
Yeah, we did talk about balance a lot in our review, I think.
Yeah, so I think, you know, the great flaw probably of Elden Ring is it is sort of a mess.
The balance is hard to get right.
In terms of balance, yeah, because it's so massive, there's so much in it.
And there's no scaling either, so you just have to go to the right boss at the right time to get that Goldilocks zone of a perfect boss fight.
Yeah.
Sometimes the bosses are too hard, and then you leave, you walk away, and then you come back and it's too easy. And yeah, I think, again, exploring the lands between was incredible. And an amazing journey and adventure, and I will never forget it. Like I said, when you were talking, my favorite world to discover, my favorite in-game map, amazing art design, amazing variety in enemy and bosses, maybe too many repeated boss fights, but again, let's stick to the positives. It's just the best game of the year, chat.
Exactly.
But yeah, I just, I'm a big From Software fan, a big Dark Souls fan, and I do think this should be my number 1. But overall, I'm really happy this game exists. I like the direction they're going in. From Software, just keep moving, baby. There will be DLCs, there'll be Elden Ring 2 inevitably. And I cannot wait for Elden Ring 2, and I will not be stubborn next time for Elden Ring 2. I will use all the stuff in the game like a proper RPG and not try to be a get good boy.
I hope they don't make an Elden Ring 2. I hope they just like
absolutely will.
I hope they just like shift and keep doing like these random shifts for every release. I
think they do backwards and forwards, right? To and fro with like Bloodborne, Dark Souls 2. That wasn't
what I mean is I think
out, but...
more than anything, Elden Ring feels like the finale to the Souls.
Sold so well.
I know. I mean, look, business-wise, it's a completely different discussion. But in terms of, it really did feel like a finale to the Blood or the Soulsborne, whatever.
Yeah, I know what you're
journey.
saying. It did, yeah.
And I would be sad if they just made not sad, but you know what I mean. I would love if they just be like, it's Armored Core, and then they do like, here's another fucking weird ass thing, and then they go to this direction, and they just keep doing weird shit, you know. But yeah, I mean, it was one of the like biggest games of all time, so
yeah.
Or maybe not sales. I mean, it sold insane, but not. Anyways. They will probably make another Elden Ring, yes.
They will probably make Elden Ring 2. I mean, they made 4 Dark Souls at this point, basically.
Yeah. So, anyways. It would be cool, though, if they were just like, we're done with the Souls series. We're never making anything like it ever again. Goodbye.
I want Souls games.
I know you do.
Them.
I know.
I do want Souls games. I want Bloodborne 2 as well, and Sekiro 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did a 2-hour chat on it. Incredible art, incredible locations, and you know, I enjoyed a large portion of the game because the boss fights, if you would take up your playtime, fighting in a boss arena would probably be like 30% or something, maybe even less. So a large percentage of my time riding around on my horse, exploring, fighting ads, was an amazing experience. But it was just a shame that I didn't connect with the boss fights, which is a big part of the game and one of my favorite part of the series in general. And yeah, and the combat for me just felt like a bit of a step back, and the game falters under its own weight a little bit in the last chunk.
Yeah,
just can't quite keep up the honeymoon experience. You start to see between the lines, you start to see the rules. Yeah. You can tell if it's like a hero's grave from the distance, or if it's a catacomb.
Playing the same tricks on you way too many times. And
maybe that was COVID related, but regardless, it's an amazing accomplishment, and I had a great time with it. My experience was just a little tarnished.
Wow.
So it's my number 3. I wish I had the same revelatory experience that some people had, where it was the best game they ever played.
Yeah.
But for me, it unfortunately wasn't. It was just a very damn good open world game.
Yeah.
Which is still good.
Well, and it's so different from every other open world game as well. In terms of structure and all these, so many ways, you know.
It's mostly better, yeah.
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 Anyways. Number 2.
Number 2.
Hmm.
I'm missing a game for you, actually. Number 2.
Yeah, I mean, you know what one of them is, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Well, my number 2 is a big fucking open world video game called Horizon Forbidden West.
That is my number 2 as well.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised
Are you?
that it's your number 2.
It's my number 2.
I thought at best it was going to be like 7 or something, or not even on the list, but
Remember when we talked about the whole like recency bias of being stung by a game and it fading over time?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
I was quite surprised that Horizon was number 2 for me as well. But it is, again, it's your turn first.
Okay. Well, I'll just say this, I'm happy that it's high on your list.
It took a bit of contemplation, but then I was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, Forbidden West, it was pretty much at the very top of the list the entire year. It was, yeah. So anyways, for me, I'm going to keep it positive because we talked a lot about Horizon this year. We talked about it for like 30 minutes in fucking the God of War chat, and then we did like a 2.5 hour chat about it. So if you want like an extremely deep discussion of that game, listen to both of those chats because there's a lot of feelings about it, and some of those will come up again here, but I'm gonna try and focus on all the reasons why it's number 2.
Yeah.
First of all, it's got the unique, hard to put your finger on thing for me that is just, I love being in that world. And that is a combination of music, which is amazing, of visuals, which are the best I've ever seen, and it's the only next-gen looking game yet. But it's also like this quiet, sort of lonely vibe that I love in a game, and it reminds me a lot of like The Witcher 3, where it's just, you've got these visuals, you've got the music playing, and you're just getting these certain moments of pleasure from just walking to the next story thing. I was also maybe the reason.
Oh shit! I just realized what your number 1 is. sorry. I just figured it out.
You
Holy
figured out.
shit! Okay.
I think maybe the thing that I liked most about this game was how much it reminded me of Mass Effect 2.
Okay.
Because this is a game where you have a home base that you return to constantly to talk to your squad, and you go through fucking huge amounts of dialogue with them.
Yeah.
And it's all good. Like, the writing is solid. The character work in this game is actually really good. That's the other part of it, is like the main cast, you sort of gather a bunch of allies through the long journey of the game and build your relationship with them up. There are actually even a few loyalty missions basically that you go on that are like, Kotalo needs to do this thing for his arm, and it's like, this is a Mass Effect 2 loyalty mission, what the fuck?
Yeah, I love that mission.
And I as an aside, I would love for them with 3 to expand on that and like let me bring different combos of characters out on missions, because they all have the Bluetooth headset now, which lets them see everything. And anyways, that's a hope for the future, is just let's make it even more Mass Effect-y in that sense.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. Main story stuff, as we've discussed, not great. I was definitely not super bothered by it, but I also just sort of wrote it off about halfway through, which is a major negative for Horizon, but again, we got into it in many other spots. I can't believe how fucking gigantic the world is, the map is, to a fault, for sure. But also, every square inch of it looks so unbelievable and is so filled with stuff. It just sort of boggles my mind. The present day story stuff is actually way better in this game than it was in the first game, with the tribes and maybe not this. they do a way better job of like fleshing out the modern day world and the characters and the factions and all of that than they did in the first game.
Yeah.
And I loved all that stuff because as cool as the sci-fi history and future stuff is, like the main present day world in that game is still also really interesting, and the way it the way their cultures form from bits and pieces of information from basically our current modern day 2020 2100 era is fascinating. Like the whole faction that's like worships this museum that is just like a military propaganda museum basically.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
Love that stuff.
Yeah, the culture from that seemed to have sailed over from basically like China or Japan or whatever that are like, we worship tech billionaires, and it's like, God, ooh, don't do that. That's not good. There's a lot of good, like, weird ideas with the modern day factions and how they are sort of interpreting the past.
Yeah, that stuff is my favorite stuff in the game.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's one of, I can't get over it, man. It's like one of my favorite sci-fi concepts ever out of all media. It's just like such a fun and weird idea, seeing modern, basically futuristic humans take on a caveman perspective of futuristic technology and cleverly decide how different people would interpret it and base religions around it. And it all, like, honestly, like, echoes our own past, but in a completely different context. And it's just brilliant, man. I just absolutely love it. And this game, Forbidden West, does it more so than Horizon Zero Dawn did.
Totally, yeah. And, like, some of it is sort of goofy, but in a way that is believable because people are kind of stupid and get into weird shit, right? Like when we see that more and more with every year, where it's just like, you guys are, and you look back on history and you're like, you worship, huh? Like, and you see that
playing Pentiment, like you see some of the stuff going back then, and it seems
That's
goofy
insane.
and silly.
Yeah, and yeah, so they do a great job with that stuff here, and there's just like a lot of great moments and missions. This game has a standout, like one of the best main mission journeys probably since like the Bloody Baron quest line in The Witcher 3, which is going to Vegas. I think is just like a fucking amazing sort of 2-hour quest that you go on, and the way that it like integrates the past history of Vegas, and it sort of that mirrors the modern story, and then there's these side characters that show up, and they build like this town over the course of the game. That stuff is so good, and there's a lot of little things that the game does with open world that not a lot of games do anymore that I just love, where it's stuff like the world slowly evolving based on what's happening in the story, like the town forming in Vegas on the Vegas Strip is just a cool thing that it doesn't point it out to you, it doesn't make a big deal of it, but it just sort of happens as you play through the game. And it happens in a few other spots, the way Plainsong changes over the course of the game.
Yeah.
That stuff, I love little things like that. And I love also just like their obsessive attention to making sure all the dialogue sequencing is always accounting for everything, no matter what order you're doing it in. It's a small thing, but like it goes a long ways for me. And then of course, like the combat side, the combat's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I really like the Horizon combat. It was great in the first game, and it's more or less as good here. There are a few little changes that I dislike, mainly with like the dodging. That was sort of frustrating, but once you get used to it, you get used to it.
Yeah.
The fun of like uncovering the new machine enemies is still amazing. There's still like this great sense of awe to finding the new ones. The Spinosaurus dude and
you
the
see
giant,
them in the distance for the first time. It's like, what the hell is that thing?
The Tremor Tusk and all that those are all great. Fighting all of them, it's just so fun to get in a fight in that game.
Yeah.
And then they also expanded like the hunting aspect of it in a really, really smart way. You know, maybe a little grindy at times if you're trying to fully upgrade the highest end gear, but having to actually like go out and hunt a creature to get a part from it is a great addition from the first game, and
yeah, it's smart.
I hope they continue to expand the light sort of Monster Hunter-ish things in there, because they should. They could like triple down on that stuff, I think, in some really cool ways.
Did I dream it, or are they making a multiplayer thing, or am I thinking of The Last of Us?
Confirmed. Yes, they are making a co-op multiplayer thing in the Horizon universe, and I maintain that should be a Monster Hunter style game, because the aesthetics, the combat, the hunting is such, and doing it with co-op is such, like, that's on paper that just seems like a dream project, honestly.
It does, yeah.
So it was cool to see them start to get into that stuff here.
I feel like even if it's in its most rudimentary form of like you just hunt monsters, robots with your friends, and that's it, I'd be like, that I'm kind of in. I would play that.
Totally. Yeah. So and then there's certainly problems, like the side content has. Some of the side content is improved. The what are the dungeons? The
dungeon?
The mechanics, the cauldrons. Those are all a lot better and are like integrated into the world in some really cool ways. The side quests.
We shouldn't be comparing them, but I appreciate having Forbidden West. Every single returning side activities from the Tunics, like you said, the cauldrons. They've all been evolved and improved on. And in God of War Ragnarok, that didn't really feel the same. We were still doing the same throw an axe at pots and hit 3 bells and light 3 torches.
Yeah, that's actually a good... I'm glad you pointed that out, because I hadn't really thought about that. But yes, that was like every time I came across, oh, it's this again from the first game, it was surprising to see how it had changed.
Yeah.
The Relic Ruins... later on, when they're like, we changed it by adding the bad box puzzles, not a good improvement. But many of the other areas definitely improved. The tall necks are way better. The cauldrons are way better. That stuff is super cool. The climbing is a big step back, despite it being much more free. It's a fucking pain in the ass.
Yeah, it just doesn't really work.
Yeah, and I look forward to doing a New Game Plus of that game. Hopefully, ideally when it comes out on the PC, because you can just fly. You can get the bird really early in that game, in New Game Plus, and being able to just fly around that world will be cool. Definitely a little mixed on some aspects of it, but overall, it was just a very enjoyable experience. And to not get too personal here, but it came out at a time where I was extremely not happy, and it was the only thing that made me quite happy for like 2.5 full weeks.
Yeah.
And, those are important to acknowledge. So, I just love being, like, just walking around in that game. It's such a pleasure. And I'm feeling that again, like, visiting The Witcher 3 again. It's just like, man, this sort of vibe, this sort of open world feeling is still very infrequent in games. And Horizon Forbidden West is probably the most a game has reminded me of The Witcher 3 since The Witcher 3, which is not an insignificant achievement. In terms of just like being in the world and exploring it and just never wanting it to end.
Yeah.
And it kind of at times felt like it was never going to end. But, it was like 93 hours long, which is fucking crazy. Probably could have benefited from some trimming, that's for sure. But, Horizon Forbidden West tragically came out a week before Elden Ring and was forgotten by everyone, just like the first game. And it's a shame because there is so much good stuff there. There's so much passion behind it all and so much artistry, and it's just sort of... But it also is, like, old, and as we said, I wish it had been a huge release so that people could have really looked at it and Elden Ring, and because they're, like, a fantastic comparison of games.
Oh, yeah.
In the same way the first Horizon and Breath of the Wild were, so... But yeah, it sort of got overshadowed by the big fire giant behemoth of Elden Ring. But
I feel like even for like Game of the Year stuff, it's like no one played this game.
No one played it. Yeah. Even though I'm sure it sold quite well. And I'm really looking forward to that DLC in a couple months, especially because they've ditched the PS4 for it. So hopefully they can do some shit with the Horus unit for it. I continue to feel very strongly about Horizon and that series, and I look forward to it continuing to like expand. A multiplayer game is exciting. The VR thing is cool. I have very specific hopes for Horizon 3, and most of those are the same things I hoped after the first game, which is let's change up the formula of the open world a bit, please, for the third game.
I'm not holding my breath.
You know, that's many years away as well, so I won't. We'll worry about that later. So that's it. That's all my things I have to say about Horizon. Over to you.
We kind of brought it up earlier, but I was a little sour on Forbidden West when we did our review talk because I cared more about the world and story of Horizon than any other game ever. I'm a huge mega fan of Zero Dawn, specifically its sci-fi world writing, and there was actually some amazing stuff in the middle portion of Forbidden West, some crazy, wild, creative stuff.
Oh yeah.
And they just didn't live up to the ideas they set up.
Yeah.
And I think they really fumbled a lot of potential, and I found it weird how they just like deleted a whole thing and retconned it. Well, not retconned it, but they just replaced it with here's the third game's premise.
Yeah.
And I was really bummed by that, and I also was saddened by some of the ubification of Forbidden West. This is before Ragnarok, and I was like, oh, these Sony open world games gonna homogenize into this formula. And we will save that maybe for another chat another day. Or we've already talked about it. I can't even remember at this point. But I think I brought up when you were talking about Ragnarok in our main review and today, I was kind of hinting at something when I was like, you know, time might heal some wounds.
Yeah.
Because Forbidden West was a long time ago now.
Almost a year.
I finished it in March. It took me a long time to get through it because I was playing it side by side almost daily with Elden Ring, and that was a beautiful experience. Oh my god, playing those two
February
like in tandem.
and March were so awesome, man.
God, they were good. But yeah, those wounds have healed because overall I'm complaining about the end cutscene of the game and optional activities which you can walk away from. And like I just said with Jamison, the activities that come back from the first game are all way improved. It's more just like the new question mark filler stuff, which was a bunch of bullshit. The horse racing and the combat arena with your stick.
Fucking racing.
Yeah, they were all shit and stupid, and it kind of tarnished like the cleanseness, the altogether package of the first game. But whatever, grow up, get over it, Joe. So much of this game was like a religious experience at times. It was like the best produced video game of all time, in my opinion. I've never seen visuals like this. Visuals is a broad term. It's like art direction, color, world design, animation of these fucking giant robots in front of me. Visuals is like, it's a lot of parts that all come together. And I think the people at Guerrilla are the best in the world when it comes to the pure production and spectacle of video games. There is nothing this year or any other year that made my jaw drop anything like some of the big fights in Forbidden West. This game is just unbelievable to look at times.
Yeah.
And not only that, but it plays really well. It's not my favorite combat system of the entire year. Again, I kind of have like a similar complaint with the Horizon series that I did with God of War 2018, which I find dodging a little bit weird and hitbox is weird. And I can never tell if Aloy has iframes, but it doesn't take away from the fact that this game is awe-inspiring from every production standpoint. And it has the world, the characters, and the combat and the gameplay to match and live up to all of that as well. There is some, parts I didn't enjoy, but I have something called the Horizon bias, which is like Jamison, I just love being in this game, in this world. And yeah, there's certain aspects, even if I didn't like, kind of similar to Ragnarok, if I didn't like the finality of the overarching individual Aloy journey, that's not like the whole thing when it comes to a narrative in a game. There's characters, there's locations, there's world design, and all of that stuff plays into an overall narrative lore story thing. And there's so many aspects of Horizon which are, again, some of the best in the entire business. And for me, it's the world. They did just such an amazing job of expanding the world in ways that I really cared about seeing.
Yeah.
The city design, the extra tribes, and all these different interpretations of, like we just said, how people would interpret the futuristic technology in their primitive, whatever, ways. There's so much amazing stuff in this game, and I just still, to this day, love Horizon's world more than any other game world out there. That's why I was so sour in my review, because this game is my darling. This franchise is my baby. And they didn't do certain aspects as good as I wanted, and I sulked about it. And I was sad and mad, alright? But when the dust settled, I blew away the dust and the anger as it subsided, and I looked and remembered some of the best parts of Forbidden West and just remembered my love for Horizon. I realized that this was one of the best games I played in the entire year, and it was number 3 below Elden Ring. And I changed it, and I put it above Elden Ring.
Wow.
And I didn't think that was going to happen, and it took a lot of thinking.
Wow.
But there you go.
I respect it, and it makes me happy to hear that, because it's been a very... I don't know, I feel like it's been a very negative Horizon year, especially from your side.
Yeah, I was stung, you know? Expectations are a dangerous thing.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like, that's 100% how I am still feeling about God of War. So that's, you know, I am hurt by that story being such a mess. But it heals me to hear that you liked Horizon that much. It's like, okay, good.
I loved Horizon, dude.
Oh, thank God. Okay, all it feels better in the world now, honestly.
You know, I had a rough 3 to 4 hours at the end where I was like, oh my God, they're ruining it. They're ruining it. I've been playing this fucking story since 2017.
17, yeah.
And they're ruining it. And I took it very personally. It was like when Game of Thrones dropped the bucket, and it's like, well, shit. I love this thing.
Yeah.
But you know, you grow up and you get over it.
Yeah.
And you remember it's a video game and not a book, and playing it and looking at it is incredible.
Yeah.
And also, fuck everyone else for ignoring Horizon this year. You're all idiots.
Yeah, you are. We said that about Horizon in 2017 as well.
Yeah.
I think the quote was like, fuck Zelda. I think you said, fuck Zelda.
I can't quite say it about Elden Ring, unfortunately. I'll say about Breath of the Wild, who cares?
I am surprised it is above Elden Ring. But,
yeah, me too.
I understand. Yeah,
it wasn't to begin.
I really, like, to give an idea of how, like, negatively I had interpreted, or how much I had interpreted your negativity as, like, all-encompassing for Horizon. Like, I thought it was going to be, like, 7 or not even on the list.
I was pissed, man, when I finished that game. I was pissed.
And trust me, that's how I am with God of War right now, that's why I'm like, is it even number 5? Like, put it even lower, because I'm so fucking annoyed. But,
like I said, it did go to war with Elden Ring. It was 3, then 2, then 3, then 2. So Elden Ring and Horizon are very, very close for me. Very close.
Yeah, that's
fair.
But
that's where it ended. That's where it landed.
Cool.
And, you know, maybe a second playthrough of Elden Ring will move it up a bit. But for now, I'm happy where things are.
Nice. Good. Awesome. What a surprise. Cool.
Talking of surprises.
Did not think our 3 and 2 were going to line up, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I know our number 1s have not lined up, which is always fun.
I can't believe this game is your number 1.
Well, I'm going to fucking tell you. It is crazy. A little... Parts of it are a little surprising, though. All right. Number 1. Game of the Year 2022. Tunic.
Yeah, wow. I knew it was going to be on here, but... Damn. Hey, fair enough. I like giving indie love.
Tunic. Okay. First of all, this is going to be a full discussion of Tunic things, so sorry, but I'm not talking around things.
Damn.
Okay. We have to do the unfortunate slice, pick it up, put something off to the side before we talk about the good things in Tunic. I did not enjoy playing Tunic.
Yeah, me neither.
I did not enjoy the combat in Tunic.
Yeah.
I think it's not
It's
a
your game of the year.
I don't think it's a particularly good. What is this? Like a Zelda light?
I didn't enjoy playing my game of the year. Okay, yeah.
So like the combat is,
Yeah.
I didn't find it fun. I don't think it's particularly good.
Okay.
It also is only like 7 or 8 hours of the game for me, and then there was like another 25 hours where the combat isn't a thing.
Basically,
and so yeah,
depending on how you go with your decision,
right? And that's so. That's not a small caveat. Like I said, every game on this list has caveats, and it's speaks to the year as a whole, where it's like I didn't love the whole package of anything. I probably liked the whole package of Horizon the most of any game this year, but it was also, there were enough issues with it, and it was a sequel, so it I don't know. I did think about Horizon at 1 many times, but as time went on, I think Tunic just settled where...
I'm surprised.
Yeah. So, push away the combat. If you're going to play it just for that, as a light Zelda experience, some people like it, and that's good for you. That's fine. I did not.
I thought the Zelda stuff was pretty okay. I thought
it's
it was
fine.
Very cute.
It's fine. I don't think the combat feels very good or is fun, but like it's the Zelda parts, like it's it's serviceable. You can have a good time just doing that. But you would miss out on every single thing that makes Tunic good. And when I started playing this game, I had very much been under the impression from other people talking around it that there was some stuff to be discovered in Tunic, right? And the first like 5+ hours, I was just like, what? Like, who fucking cares about it? Like, it's so just whatever. I don't care about Tunic. Joe, is this game actually interesting? You're like, yeah, keep playing. There's some interesting stuff in there. And then they start to do a really interesting thing that I actually think is extremely cleverly designed, and it's the way they slowly, very naturally get you to start looking closer at things.
Yeah.
The way it starts is they give you a little, they reveal, you slowly get these manual pages, and the manual sort of gets you, the manual is basically what tells you, look closer at this, look closer at that. And it starts with like, here's how to upgrade your character. You just have to go up to this obelisk and hold the A button. But you would probably never figure that out by just playing. Mm-hmm. And it's this slow progress of the game teaching you to examine things closer that is super interesting. And eventually, through 3 or 4 different things like that, of like, if you do this button combination, or if you do this thing here, you get X or Y. And those are early on gameplay related, and they slowly become less gameplay related. And it eventually leads you to a point of Tunic is a puzzle game. It's loaded with puzzles, and they're all optional. Every single one of them. And they're all hiding in plain sight. And by the time you get to the point where the game says, yo, there's a ton of puzzles in here, they all function this way through D-pad inputs, here's what to start looking for, it feels like a completely natural path that you've taken to get to that point. Mm-hmm. And then from that point onwards begins the fun stuff. It begins this journey of insanity that I so deeply search for in games and miss or don't get. And it's looking at everything differently. And that's such a unique experience that I think only games can do. Maybe a movie, maybe, but like games are the only ones that can be like, here's the game, you're doing it like The Witness. You're playing The Witness, you're doing all these amazing puzzles, and then it says, but look at the world differently, and you find 100 other puzzles. And
I think the Outer Wilds DLC did that stuff very well.
Yeah,
it's like the answer was there all along, you just didn't have the information to access it.
Exactly, yes. And that's very much the case of Tunic. It is a game about optional secrets that are hidden right in front of you, and for most of the game you don't even notice them, and then you start to see the code everywhere, and you start to wonder, how do you solve these fucking puzzles? And it turns out Tunic is an insane, complicated, deep, challenging puzzle game, if you want it to be.
Yeah.
There are a lot of puzzles in this game, a lot of them, and they are not easy to solve, because pretty much every one of them, or most of them, have different solutions. That's what's interesting about this, is like the input is always the same basic, D-pad inputs, but it pulls from the witness in that it's like, use the apples, use the sound of the gravel on the ground. It's that sort of spirit that it takes from the witness and says, like, use the clues around you to figure out what the solution is to this puzzle. And oh my god, does it ever fucking go deep. It's insane how extensive the puzzle secrets are in the game. I have a notebook with like 6 or 8 pages of serial killer ass looking notes. I have a folder here with dozens of screenshots, a massive Photoshop document, a Premiere Pro and After Effects file for modifying videos, clips of the game. The list goes on, and that is the type of experience that I just love in a game. And it's so satisfying. The puzzles in this game they might be the most satisfied I have been solving puzzles in a game. Maybe they're at least on par with the best witness moments for me, because every single puzzle in the game, I would look at it and be like, I know this is a puzzle, because there's a little thing that tells you there's a puzzle there, which is nice. I would look at it and I'd be like, I got no fucking clue. And I'd close the game, and I'd boot the game up like 2 or 3 days later after ruminating on it, sitting it on the subconscious, and I would, without fail, every time be like, a couple days later, be like, oh shit, I bet it's this. And booting the game up, testing that theory, and getting it on your first go with your theory, it is like, it's just so deeply satisfying. And I had that happen like 30 times with the game. And those theories are radically different most of the time. And that is just such a unique game experience.
It is hard to find.
It is so hard to find, yeah. It has it's the type of puzzle stuff and the philosophy behind the puzzles that it like so deeply gets my brain and what I want from secrets. The puzzles are not there for everyone. They're not even meant, like, there was a fascinating article recently that one of the sound guys did, or maybe the sound guy did, because it was a super small team. And he explained that, like, they have this language in the game, which I have yet to decipher, but I might one day put the time into, because there are 2 remaining puzzles that I have not solved, and I think I need a written clue to help for them. Anyways, they like embedded this language into the music itself, so that if you look at the music through whatever the thing is that like visualizes audio, not a waveform, but like a stethoscope, not a stethoscope, a spectrogram. If you put it in there, you can see written messages in the music in the Tunic language. And it's like, why is that in the game? Because they just wanted to put it in the game. And that is just such a, like, I just so deeply appreciate that philosophy of, like, this is not a puzzle for people to necessarily find, but it's a puzzle for us, the creators. We wanted to put it in here because we like this weird shit.
Is it one guy?
Well, it's one guy in Halifax, and I think they had a few other people helping in the last, like, year or 2. But it was
he's Canadian. I see why.
Oh yeah. Also, yes. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I gotta give that Canadian love for sure. A few other things here, a few other moments, sort of specifically the morning of the Microsoft E3 show was when you and I went on like a 2-hour back and forth Discord journey of realizing a certain thing that's shown hidden on the manual pages. That was an incredible revelatory section. The final opening of the mountain gate for me, which I did all on my own. It's a 100-digit code, and putting that all in the first time and getting it is like, that was one of the most satisfying things I've ever done in a game.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that done at some point.
It's so fucking satisfying. Holy shit. And we were misunderstanding one or two things with those manual page clues, which hopefully you'll have to decipher on your own.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I also have long waited. Like, okay, Fez came out a long time ago. Everyone remembers Fez, and ever since Fez came out, I have been salty that I missed the Fez train. I played Fez after the fact. I knew it was full of stuff. I think I wasn't, like, my brain wasn't tuned in enough at the time to be able to decipher Fez.
Yeah. I remember my flatmate playing that, and I never really got into it. And I remember him having like a notepad full of like weird notes, and I actually completely forgot about that until you mentioned it right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe it is. Maybe I should go back and play Fez. Maybe it is quite like Tunic-y.
Yeah, it is.
I remember him trying to decipher a language. That's what I remember.
Yes. There's a very specific language hidden in that game, and Fez has basically haunted me since then, because I'm like, hearing the descriptions of people going down these rabbit holes and uncovering the fact that, like, on the surface it's like a basic platformer, and then it just descends into puzzle secret craziness, is something I've so wanted for all since then. And no game has done that, because like everything else is like, it's a puzzle game. The Witness is a puzzle game. You know that from the get-go. And Tunic, when I started playing it, I did not know it was a puzzle game. And to have it slowly transform into a puzzle game of like shocking depth and complexity is an experience I have been wanting for a decade, since we started doing these lists, because Fez came out in 2013. And I haven't had more fun solving puzzles in a game since The Witness, and The Witness is like my second or third favorite game ever made. So and that occupied the majority of my time in Tunic. There is one puzzle in the entire game that I don't think is particularly good or intuitive, but I still solved it and figured it out, and it was like, haha, I'm smart. But there's every other puzzle in the game is just flawlessly designed, and I just love that they went for it so hard. And there are still things I haven't figured out, and that's cool.
I think one thing I've learned from this list, this chat, is I think you are more forgiving of games' weaknesses than I am.
I think
because I mostly agree with what you said. I had a great time with the puzzles in Tunic. I lost my way because I went, I think, to Glastonbury Festival.
Yes.
And I was gone for 6 days and then recovering and taking 8 days off of Tunic. I was like, I don't remember what these notes are. And you beat the game. And I was like, oh boy. And I was like, I'll get back into it when I've got time. And then a week turned into a month, and then a couple of months. And now when I look at my notes, I'm like, oh my God, where do I start with this thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just can't forgive the game being shit for half of it. I just can't. I just think a game, it's all encompassing for me. A game's this entire package.
Yeah.
And I do think from the chat, you obviously got more out of the puzzles than I did, but I still really had a good time with those puzzles and agree with the points you made with them. And I think it's an amazing part of the game. But yeah, I think I just struggle. Again, Playtale didn't make it into my list, even though I feel like we also had similar opinions about it.
Yeah.
It's just maybe I'm very unforgiving. Although I forgave Horizon. Who knows how my brain works?
That's always been the case. I when the highs are high, I'm much more forgiving of the lows. And in the case of Jesus Christ, of Tunic, in my memory of playing through the game, actual like Zelda combat gameplay part of it is like 5% of the experience. Even though I know mathematically that's not accurate, it's probably more like 6 or 8 hours of 30, so it's, you know, a third of the game. But the memory is that's what all these discussions are basically. Yeah. And I don't really have an opinion or memory of the combat because I just didn't think it was very interesting, and so I turned on the accessibility options and steamed through it in search of something more interesting, and I found it. And I'm very glad. This was a year of not great gameplay for me, and a search for just like something that clicks with my brain and my hard to satisfy tastes, and Tunic absolutely did that in ways I did not ever think it was going to. And
I
in
like
ways
it
that
being represented.
Yeah. And it fulfilled a long-waited quest, basically, of experiencing a Fez-like unraveling. So
I look forward to getting back to it, and I want to get... There was a broken obelisk, like golden thing,
oh my God,
which I have I have it all like cut out in Photoshop, and I still can't figure out how that goes together. I want to get that done.
Yeah.
And obviously I want to open the main door to whatever that is. And I think I'm just going to minimize it to those two things. Otherwise, I'm going to probably get overwhelmed and never finish it ever, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, if you have all the pages of the manual, you're fine.
I'm not sure if I do.
I don't know if you do, yeah.
And I never obviously figured out that weird last room we got to, where it's like a circular, almost coliseum with a bunch of like strange faces, stone faces around the outside. I never figured that out.
That one... I didn't figure out. That one I read about, and that one is actually related to the music language stuff.
Oh,
apparently.
shit, okay.
Apparently, if you solve all those, it gives you, like, a URL to go to a weird-ass website, which would help you decode the music language, basically.
Wow. Because I never figured out that room where, when hitting... You, like, walk around a... What do you call those partitions for people when they're changing clothes? You, like, walk around those and you change color.
Oh, yeah, I think that's just to customize your character.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I was in that room for so long.
Yeah, I think that's all it's for, but I'm still not... That's the thing that I love about Tunic, and that I love about The Witness as well, is like, I'm still not sure. Like, there could be a puzzle there. And you know what? If I never find
musical notes that were like rising in tone as you did it.
Well, and remember the fucking wind chime? Like, my quest to decipher the wind chime, I still don't know if there's a puzzle there. I think there is, but, you know, if I don't find it, that's okay as well, because I like secrets remaining secrets sometimes. The final hour-long audio log you find after beating the challenge in The Witness is a wonderful chat about secrets remaining secret that I very deeply relate to and appreciate. And Tunic is a game pretty much built around that, and I liked it a lot and felt seen by Tunic, which is nice. You know, it's like, I get you. You get me, I get you. Thank you, weird Halifax man, for spending 7 years making this game. Yeah.
Nice.
So there you go.
Well done, man. Good list, dude.
Yeah, I'm content with it. The top few games I feel very strongly about, so.
Yeah. I'm sure you know what my number one is.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. We've never talked about it. I know.
No.
So I'm looking forward to, like, leaning back in my chair and just listening. Yeah.
To me, for this entire year, it feels like there was 2 games ever, and it was Elden Ring and fucking Vampire Survivors, which is my number 1 game of 2022.
Hell yeah.
And also, it's not even close, man. It's not even close. I fucking loved every second of this game, and I still really have a good time with it. It also feels like this game, like, obviously Elden Ring was a moment, but I feel like no one talks about the fact that Vampire Survivors basically made a genre in, like, a month.
Yeah.
There's been, like, 17 clones of that game as soon as it came out, because people were like, oh, yeah, this is a thing now. And my talk of Vampire Survivors is going to involve another game. Very, very heavily. And that game is Risk of Rain 2.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But first of all, I just want to say that Vampire Survivors, the surface level of Vampire Survivors, it is this basically, I'm sure everyone's seen it, it's this glorious dopamine releasing ecstasy rush, which resembles like winning big at a casino. And you can get this experience every 30 minutes, and you don't have to pay money or get a crippling life addiction from it.
Well, you could get a crippling Vampire Survivors addiction from it.
You will actually get that,
yeah.
But it shouldn't ruin your life. At least not for
hopefully not.
Like years and years, like a gambling addiction will.
Yeah, or a Destiny
But for
addiction.
but for me, that is just the first layer. I do actually really enjoy the combat in Risk of Rain. It's my favorite hangover game of all time.
I love that.
You can play it with just like one hand, my other hand's just like in popcorn or in snacks.
Yeah.
And I do actually like the build system and the weird learning curve of Vampire Survivors, how you get slowly better at it and the things you learn and the evolution and the weird sandbox mishmashing of different items. But to me, I really have to focus on one thing because it's the reason why it's number one and not just like somewhere else on my list. It's the progression and evolution of this game, which is really what makes it so special. Now, the reason I loved Risk of Rain 2 so much is because Risk of Rain 2 is a game that also continues to evolve and change as you play and unlock different stuff in that game. I've got 90 hours in Risk of Rain 2, and the game is very different from when I first started playing it. Some examples, people might not know the basic vanilla of Risk of Rain 2, but I don't want to start explaining multiple games. But when I play Risk of Rain 2, there aren't chests in that game anymore. The spawn rate of enemies is doubled, and the enemies drop items, and I can now pick what those items are gonna be depending on the rarity, and I can pretty much build whatever I want and just choose the items I get. And it makes the game funner, in my opinion, because I can build the build I want to mess around with. I don't have to rely on RNG to see these crazy combinations. And the game's a little easier, because if I want to win on the highest difficulty, I can build towards what the character's good at. It's obviously optional, I can turn that stuff off, but I like getting stronger in video games, so I keep that stuff on. Vampire Survivors doubles and triples down on this idea. The game just keeps expanding in pretty much every way. First of all, it starts with like characters and weapons and stages, which is a very natural way for a game to increase. And even that aspect of Vampire Survivors expands in pretty surprising ways, especially the stages. There's a lot of weird places you can go in that game which you don't realize. But the rules and foundations of Vampire Survivors also shift and morph the more you play it. And not only is this a really exciting way to keep me interested in a video game by changing the fundamentals of Vampire Survivors, like, I don't want to spoil too much, but let's just say the 30-minute timer of that game is gone for me now. That's a thing, and that's just like one thing that you can change in that game. I can just go forever. But what I love about Risk of Rain and Vampire Survivors is they seem determined to break their own game. What I loved about Risk of Rain 2 is it felt like the game was modded from the beginning. You could break that game and make things happen that was so ridiculous it felt like a Steam mod. Something like extra weapons, 10 times more whatever. But it was just the vanilla game. And Vampire Survivors takes that even further, where sometimes I genuinely think the game is going to crash. But all I'm doing is following the natural progression of the unlocks. Like, I'm just going down the list of things the game tells me to do. I'm not even doing anything ridiculous on purpose. I'm just playing the game and progressing. And the game just starts to crumble under its own unlock scheme. In a way which is like... no one else would do that, man. The game doesn't even function anymore for me. I have to sometimes walk away from the game because it's lagging so bad I can't get anything done, but I still have to get more kills. The game breaks itself. It's kind of amazing. So and I kind of skipped over it, but the only real reward you get from the progression in the game is just more shit on the screen and more confetti and more casino explosions. And it's just a brilliant and simple and like primitive way to reward a player. It's like number go up, more flash on screen, Pepe clap.
Yeah.
But it goes on for like 40 hours and it just never stops expanding and getting crazier. And it's just like a beautiful... I don't want to say frog fraction because that's almost pushing it too far, but it's one of those games where what you see on the surface is not where it ends up.
I totally know what you mean, yeah.
This game, to me, it feels like Risk of Rain 3. It really feels like Risk of Rain 3. And it really takes what I loved about Risk of Rain, and it simplifies it, it streamlines it, condenses it, and makes it even flashier and messier. I will forever love the weird alien design and music of Risk of Rain, and that might always put Risk of Rain above it in certain capacities, at least from design. But there's something like endearing about the 8-bit design of Vampire Survivors. But the fundamentals of what I loved about Risk of Rain 2 are taken and put into Vampire Survivors and exploded into a way which barely allows it to function near the end. And there's just so much content in this silly little thing. It came out of nowhere, and I've just never had a bad time with this.
Wasn't it like $3?
$3. And yeah, just when it comes to like when I said about the case of the Golden Idol, I don't mean to brag, but I was very, very early to Vampire Survivors. I think I saw Soda Poppin playing it in the early access, and then I played it for like 5 hours, and then I bounced off of it because I was like, that was a fun, flashy casino thing. And I didn't go back to it because people said there was more to it. Again, I was quite early to the game. I think was hungover one day and was like, just play a couple of things in Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what specifically I unlocked to make me realize that there was more to the game. But I felt like I really unraveled that game in a way that you feel about Tunic, just completely on my own, without the internet telling me there's more to discover. And yeah, the journey I've gone on with this game across the entire year has just been like unlike anything else this year. And it just continues to evolve, and I know there's more still in there to discover to this day.
Have you gotten to the DLC at all?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
The DLC is very additive. It's not very transformative. It's like, here's an extra stage, and there's extra characters and extra weapons. It's more like, let's put more ingredients into the soup, rather than change the soup. Does that make any sense?
Make the soup into a sandwich.
Yeah. It just adds more to the chaos.
Yeah. I got
At least that's what I think so far.
Right. Yeah.
So far. But yeah, everyone knows Vampire Survivors. At this point, I would imagine it's on Game Pass. It was $3 on Steam. It's been the indie darling of the year. It was always going to be on my list. Oh, fucking hell, man. Stray was actually almost in my number 10, by the way. But anyway, moving on. But yeah, Vampire Survivors would have been on my list somewhere if I played 10 hours of this game. But I feel like we have similar feelings towards our number ones where Tunic really works with your brain.
Yeah.
And whatever this weird unlock system is that is in Risk of Rain 2 and Vampire Survivors, where the progression and Steam achievements are tied into not only characters and stages, but into the game morphing and changing in its fundamental levels. Like, that is something that is really new to me, I think, in gaming. And it's like breaking the rules, almost. And like, the walls of the game start to melt and set on fire. And I just find it absolutely fascinating. And you just like never know what's going to happen next when you play Risk of Rain 2 and Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
And yeah, if anyone knows of a game similar to whatever I'm talking about, this phenomenon where the more you play a game, the more it changes and morphs, let me know, because it might be my new favorite thing in indie gaming. But yeah, that's the reason Vampire Survivors is my number one of the year. It's
cool.
It also probably comes under like discovery and puzzle solving kind of certain times.
Yeah,
because it gives you really vague objectives. Like, do this. You're like, how the hell am I going to get to minute 31? You die at minute 30, and then you start to like see items and build and make your own objectives. And yeah,
I got to minute 32.
Nice.
Because the Reaper got stuck on a bookshelf.
That's not quite how I did it, but yeah, there's bills to kind of like hold the Reaper at bay.
Interesting.
Yeah, the Reaper can't be killed, but you can delay stuff.
Push him away.
And stuff like that. Yeah, that game has a lot of crazy surprise moments in it. A lot of like massive, grandiose secrets and boss fights and stuff. It's crazy. The game's crazy.
I think we'll have another vampire discussion soon when we do a podcast, because Ben has played a lot. I have played like 10 hours of it. So maybe we'll save that for them. But I think it's neat that I would say both our number ones are spiritually in the same category, you know?
I was realizing that as I was talking.
Yeah, because most of what you said sounded like you could have been describing Tunic for me, for sure. So that's cool. It's a unique pair of number ones. I like them.
Yeah, me too. I like our number
it a lot.
ones.
Yeah.
Actually, I like our whole list.
I think what overlapped? We had
Just Elden Ring and Horizon.
Horizon, Elden Ring, Neon White, God of War.
Oh, I see. In general.
I'm sorry, in 4. Okay, so we're 16 again. So
That's a lot, though.
yeah. I think 16 is the highest we've ever gone, and we've done it a few times. So
That's a very, very varied list.
it is, yes. That was yeah. As always, I feel like the discussions are a nice way to be like,
Yeah.
okay, games, yeah, okay, they were all right. Fuck off. They
Can
were
I
okay.
can I keep talking?
Yeah, go
Because
for
I
it.
do have we do this like honorable mentions.
Yeah.
But I have
Have
a
a few.
very unique honorable mention.
Oh.
It's a complicated situation, and it's called early access is annoying and confusing. Because a game that came out this year called Raft, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Raft is maybe one of my favorite survival games of all time.
Oh, right. It came out of early access this year.
Came out of
right?
early access
I
this
see.
year.
It was in early access for quite a few years. You're right. Yeah.
But I didn't really play Raft this year.
Right.
I played it twice, and the one session I played with Ben was this like shark boss fight, and I didn't really like the shark boss fight. And I've been playing the game since 2018,
Wow.
so I did have it on my list to begin, because it came out this year, and it's one of my favorite games in the genre, and it's better than some of the games on my list, but early access continues to be like a bit of an annoying piece of shit when it comes to making top 10 lists.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Raft should be on my list because I love that game, but I didn't play it in 2022, and this is a 2022 list about the favorite games we played this year. So yeah, that is my king honorable mention. It's a game that should be on my list, but early access continues to make things a little wonky and confusing.
Yeah. I agree.
So I wanted to give that a special honorable mention, because if I'd played it this year, it probably would have been like 5 or 4.
Wow. Yeah.
But I didn't play it this year, and this is a top 10 of 2022.
Yeah. I get you.
That feels weird, you know?
It's complicated. It
It's
is,
complicated. You could do some honorable mentions.
Sure, I'll do a major honorable mention. The only other one I took notes for is a game that actually probably should be labeled as early access, but it is not. And surprisingly, it's Warhammer 40k Darktide.
Oh, damn.
I actually really like Darktide. I have played it a fair few times since we did our little 2 hours with it. I think I played like 10 hours. The reason I say it should be labeled early access is because it feels like an early access game. Because there's like
rough.
5 levels and the progression is bad. Like straight up, the progression is bad. Like for a loot live service progression game, there's like none. There's none.
Yeah. I think I played it once after we played it on my own.
Yeah.
And again, I had fun, and it was actually quite fun playing with strangers. The community has like a pretty friendly vibe to it. I was just using text chat, and there was some good fun to be had.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, then I went to the store, and I couldn't really see, not the store, like the loadout screen where you get the new weapons, and I was getting the same 3 guns over and over again, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's a game that I think has a lot of potential over the next 12 months to evolve into something really awesome that I'll like a lot, because there's only a few guns per character, there's only a few melee types, and you just get different colored versions of the same weapons, and it feels a lot like Destiny 1 in that way, where there's just not enough loot. The progression is insanely slow and unsatisfying. Upgrading is a pain, it's buggy, it's a little jank. But the reason I like it is because it's just, maybe more than any other game this year, it just has a mood to it that is really, really good.
And that fucking music, man. Oh my god.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. I like playing as the big dumb boy. Yeah. I like being tall, big boy, strong. Hit big things. Yes, good. That's fun. I've never really been into the Left 4 Dead style games, but I think the combat feels good here. It feels heavy. They have the amount of enemies is impressive, and they react to your hits nicely. And I like being the big, tall, big, dumb idiot boy. But yeah, the combination of visuals and music, I don't think I've ever had an OST sell me on an entire universe as hard as this did for 40K. 40K is like this impenetrable behemoth that I will never understand, but the music in this game made me want to understand it. It made me want to be like, what if I just take a little peek through the door and be like, oh my god, is that what Warhammer is in there? Oh god, okay. I mean, do I want to open the door more or slam it shut forever? I don't know yet, but it's got a lot of really good qualities to it, and I hope it can evolve into something really good, because I know Vermintide 2 absolutely got there, and Vermintide 1 I'm sure did as well. But it's a shame that it seemed to launch the way every single loot live service game has ever launched, which is poorly.
Yeah.
It's a shame, because there's a lot of really, really, really cool stuff in there, and I want to keep playing it, but there's just really no reason to, and that's a shame. So, and then really quickly, another early access game that we played a lot of that I think we will put a lot more time into, and we may have its year. Maybe this is the year for it. It's Satisfactory.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't need to say much. It's very good. It's very fun. It's very satisfying.
Yeah, that could be a 2023 game, dang.
But yeah, it's still in early access after like 4 years. So
yeah.
Last I checked, they said the target was end of 2022, early 2023 for 1.0. So who knows? That's probably more like 8 months from now. But maybe it'll have its time this year.
Yeah, that game's good.
Yeah. I have 2 more that I'll just rattle off really quickly. For the 3rd time, I want to give a shout out to Bloodborne, because I replayed it after Elden Ring, because I was like, is the linear format better? Yes, it is. Bloodborne is so fucking good, it's unbelievable. It's tragic that it's locked away on the shitty 30 FPS PS3, PS4.
Yeah, I'd love to play it again.
That game is wild, and I played through the DLC and beat the DLC, so I've done everything in Bloodborne at least once, which was satisfying. It felt like I was able to master the game in my replay, and whereas my first time through, I just got my ass absolutely kicked, and it took me 3 years or 5 years to beat that game. I beat it in a replay in like 11 hours. It was very satisfying. And then really quickly, the Witch Queen DLC for Destiny 2 was really good. They finally made an excellent first-person shooter campaign for Destiny, and good on them. So that's all.
Yeah, I had Scorn down on my honorable mentions. I had Tunic down. I had Stray down. I actually had a really good time with Stray. I think Stray was after I played Elden Ring and Sifu back to back.
I think so, yeah.
I didn't even beat Sifu. I just had to retire from that game for like 2 months because I was just so tired of dying, getting my ass kicked. And Stray came out and it was just like the perfect game for the mood I was in. I needed something comfy and just easygoing, and Stray was there for me. That cute little kitty got me through it. I got Cult of the Lamb down. I don't really have too much to say about that game. Again, amazing music in Cult of the Lamb. I did enjoy it. I just felt like the 2 aspects of the game, the base building and the arena combat, both just could have been taken a notch further. I feel like this game really could have cemented itself as a classic, but it felt like it got a little bit forgotten, and I think it just didn't quite go deep enough on either ends of the spectrum. But that game had a incredible style, personality, art, and music. I love that little indie thing. And then I'm gonna actually just like save one for the podcast. That's a little secret game because it's not that crazy of an honorable mention. But the last one is Dying Light 2.
Oh yeah,
Dying Light 2. I'm a big fan of Dying Light, and I still had fun with Dying Light 2. But it is a disappointment. Probably one of the biggest ones of the year.
Yeah, I agree.
It just missed the mark. It came out messier, clunkier, and busier than the first one. We reviewed it. We talked about it. Same chat as Elden Ring, I think.
Yeah.
And Horizon.
Yep.
But yeah, I still have love and affinity for the weird, janky Dying Light world and its parkour action combo. The game does get there in the end for me, but it's like one of those weird games which, again, a bit like Plague Tale, where it just like makes you useless at the beginning when you play the game before it, where you've already had certain skills and been powerful, and it feels like you've gone backwards and it's frustrating and boring. I could even slide in Dying Light 2 for so long.
Oh my god, yeah.
But I just love the fundamentals of those games.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's getting an honorable mention, but I wish it was on the list, and I wish it was high up the list, but
yeah,
was a bit of a disappointment, even if I do weirdly like janky parkour zombie games.
Yeah, I hope that game can get there over time, maybe, with updates, and I don't know. Or
there's just so much build-up as well for that game for so many years.
I know, it was 7 years.
Like a janky AA game, it was strange.
That first game is so good.
But I think that's it, dude.
Yeah, we did it.
That is our 10th top 10 game. There's a 10th top 10 list of a year.
Yes.
3 hours is a long time, man.
Yeah. Before we go, should we commit in voice on video to our dumb idea?
Yeah.
Okay, so for a while now, we've been throwing around ideas of let's do a top 10 of the last 10 or something like that. Some sort of culmination, reflection, celebration that we've been doing 10 of these. 10 years is a long fucking time. We've outlived major websites.
We have 10 lists. We have 100 games right now.
We have 100 games.
Yeah.
And we had played with ideas like we just make a top 10 list based on any of those games. We had done one idea which was like, let's make a top 10 list where we have to pick one game from each year, which would have been actually, a decent challenge, I think. But we settled on the dumbest idea, which is let's take our 100 games each that we have and rank them.
All of them.
From 100 to 1.
Yeah.
In order.
Our top 100 games of the last 10 years.
Yes. And, we will try and get around that being a 17-hour chat by the fact that we will have talked about all those games many times and we'll rattle a lot of them off quickly.
Yeah.
But, yes, we are going to do that sooner rather than later. We will, now that this list has been locked in, we can start the month-long process of ranking 100 video games.
How am I going to do that?
The last 10 years of games will be mathematically decided upon. What is the best? We will do it for ourselves.
There would be a top 1 game of the last 10 years for us.
Yeah, what if that one overlaps for us? That would be wild.
Ooh.
I don't think it will.
No, probably not. I have an idea.
Yeah, anyways. So
very good games.
That's going to be fun. I think there will be some interesting discussions like in the bottom half where it's like, oh my god, what? This game is number 75? What the fuck?
Yeah.
The top 10 will be like fairly predictable because we did a best of the gen, and the gen was most of the last 10 years. So,
I don't remember our list though, I'll be honest. I'm not going to rewatch it either.
Yeah. So it'll be fun to do that. It's going to be really stupid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it.
But that does it for another year.
Thank God.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Whew. If you've been here for all 10, holy shit, well done. You've survived. Yeah. Congratulations.
And shout out to the people that appreciate these videos, because we like doing them, and even if no one watched or listened, we would still do them.
Oh, yeah.
Because we need to cleanse our brains of video game opinions.
Yeah.
But, they're a bit of like a time sink, passion project, fun thing that I enjoy doing every year.
It's our little niche.
Yeah, and I'm glad there are other people out there that, still care after 10 years and look forward to them. So, yeah. Here's to another 10 years. Fuck it.
Fuck, Jesus Christ. Oh, God, that's scary.
Let's be 40-year-olds and do this.
Oh, my God. All right. Sure, I'm in.
All right, that's it.